Ta-da!
G'day, everybody. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Oh, God, I tell you, it's a hot one here in Western Australia this morning. The temperature's up around about 30. It feels like about 40, and we've got the humidity sitting on about 78%. I'm sweltering
We're
today.
here in Tucson. Here in Tucson, in the desert in the Southwest, um, we've had 5 nights of below freezing, and the night before last, I think it got down to 26. Uh, hey, how's it going? Um, and at least I'm not in Kansas City freezing my butt off. And this is in Fahrenheit, not Celsius. The real temperature is -6 or -10 and
Oh,
going down with a 30-mile-an-hour wind. So put the wind chill factor at -35 to -45.
yeah.
That is just for a guy who spent 4 years in Hawaii before moving to the desert because I didn't want to ever shovel snow again. I mean, I spent 27 years of my adult life in Minnesota,
Right.
and so I've seen my share of up in the boundary waters. My
Mm,
daughter, when she was in 5th grade, went to the environmental learning center in January in Minnesota, and at the location it was -61 degrees, dead calm. But that was the coldest I've been to since I was in Alaska, and I think we hit. I don't know if it was official or unofficial, but it was an army post in Big Delta or Tok Junction area, right in the
right.
middle of Alaska, and it was -71 degrees. Again,
Oh,
dead calm. I was in Fairbanks. It was like 45 below,
yeah.
and
It reminds me when I used to work. I worked I lived overseas for between 65 and late 74, going on to 75. And well,
is
after
that
I came out
is that 1975 or 1875?
at 19, of course, yeah, yes, I guess.
Yeah, I know you always bring assholes on your group, onto
Yeah,
your program.
I
I
know.
know.
Yeah, do I look? Yeah, I feel that all at that time. So I tell you that, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was not long out the army, and of course I ended up. I got a job on the oil fields there out of
Prudhoe Bay.
of Scotland. There, where is
Oh,
it?
on
Uh,
the North Sea,
yes, in
wasn't
the
it?
North Sea. Yeah, but was it Shetland Islands? So I was.
Oh, okay, okay.
I was based on the Shetland Islands, and my job was doing radiology in pipe. So I'll go down inside the pipe for miles under the ocean
No. Yeah.
on my back on a motorized type skateboard, right? Setting
Yeah.
up X-ray machine on pipes to check them on the inside. Yes.
Have you ever heard the term "no effing way"? I'm a little bit claustrophobic.
Yeah, but
I hate confined areas.
well,
I don't mind being in a submarine, but if I was in a tube and I'm in a mile away, I mean that's
well,
5,000 280 feet
yeah. And
from
what
my
makes it
feet
worse?
back to daylight.
What made it worse, Jim? You had to go into a decompression chamber before and after.
Oh gosh.
It paid well, but yes, it used to get cold up in the Shetland Islands at winter time. But I don't know, can't remember how cold. But yeah, I must admit, I was mad in my younger days. I'll tell you that, my friend.
Yeah.
Things I used to do for money. Oh, didn't we all?
Yeah,
But carry on,
my
Jim.
my cousin Sal was he's a Navy salvage diver. He's been to 900 feet in special breathing apparatus and whatever. -1. Where are you at? He doesn't. He doesn't say where. Most of
It's
the
in the Midwest.
most of the U.S. is even having driving rain or bitter cold.
Right.
It's. I think that the high in Miami today was 56. That's cold.
Yeah. Actually,
especially if you look
hey,
at high 80s and 90s all the time.
yeah, I'm glad you brought up Miami, Jim. We're going to cover a bit of that. I mean, there's been a lot of talk this week, a lot of talk, speculation. People talked about 10-foot tall bloody
Oh,
aliens, and
what do they call them? The jellyfish is one of them. You see
yeah,
floating through the area. Now, someone posted, and I'm not sure where I read it, but it was on the internet, that someone reversed the longitude and latitude
right.
of Miami, and it's
Yeah,
Antarctica.
yes, it had something to do with an S and an M. There was a mistake in numbers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I did hear that. I wish I copied it. I could have played it. Yeah, and they appeared where they shouldn't have appeared. Yeah,
I mean, I saw the video a couple times, and it was the images were transparent enough or soft enough that someone could have duped it.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I totally agree with you there, but I have some witnesses report. But first of all, listen, let me play the first segment I want to play. This was actually taken downtown Miami
okay.
by a reporter. I think it was the ABC American Network.
Well, several thousand people witnessed them, didn't they? There at the shopping center.
Yes, and I'll be playing that very shortly too. Just on a sec, Jim. I'll bring it up.
All right.
They're swarming Bayside Marketplace tonight.
That's where we find Local 10 crime specialist Bridget Matter live with what sparked this chaotic scene. Bridget.
And chaotic is an understatement. There has been a lot of activity in the last hour. This all started, according to police, with some sort of fight between juvenile groups that were armed with sticks.
The thing I want to say is, Jim, where would they get the sticks from? I mean, within the city, right? Especially from the mall.
Well, I mean, they're being it's in a tropical environment. They may have bamboo somewhere
okay,
within the mall as a decoration.
right. Okay, fair enough. Okay, but
Or you grab, if it was a hardware store in there, you grab a mop handle.
Right. Anyway, this reporter is it's not necessarily on the scene, but she's downtown where the people are being moved to.
Okay.
I'll continue.
Fireworks were thrown at each other, and we have seen that here on the ground as well. Kids are throwing fireworks into the air. But let me show you the scene here. This has calmed down quite a bit, but in the last 5 minutes, we saw a large group of police running, getting into their cars, then rushing south on Biscayne Boulevard. The intersection we're at is near the Kaseya Center, Northeast 2nd Street and Biscayne. We do want to show you the scene from above, a picture to show you that massive police presence.
That's every cop car in southern Florida.
Yeah, well, yeah, but what I'm just saying, it's a bit overkill. I mean,
yeah,
I mean,
well, it usually is.
Yeah, but the thing is, Jim, I've heard no reports about anybody being arrested. I tried Googling it.
Yeah,
nothing's coming up. So,
well, it may be too real for the news. Well, not for the the propaganda machines. They go by the name of ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, and the rest of them.
Yeah, fake news people. Yeah, I
know
where you're going.
Fake but accurate.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll continue, mate.
Hour or so, you will see a lot of police units that responded to this, and what transpired after that were juveniles being pushed west into deeper downtown Miami. And when we went west and followed them and police, we witnessed ourselves rowdy crowds, police trying to disperse them, get them to leave the area. I do want to show you some video of that if you haven't got.
Well, that's enough on that one there, Jim. But the thing is, I pick up on key words. They were moved west right, downtown. That they actually move the people downtown where the more population is. Why would they want to push people to an area where there's a big population, probably cause more problems? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just kind of look at why.
It's spelled DEI. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not die. It is or what the heck, one's inclusion, diversity, ethnicity, and inclusion. I think that's how they put it.
Right. Anyway, to me, it sounds it's like something just doesn't kind of sit right with me there. You know what I mean? I mean, 9 out of 10. With so many police officers, I would imagine.
I mean, there's more police officers than there are military in southern Florida. I have never seen that many police cars at the same location, unless it was a mass killing.
Exactly.
But this is just some smoky people that sort of floated through the air, or sort of walked above the ground or not touching the ground, and they were translucent or transparent. Almost ghost-like figures.
Again, Jim, with the show of force by police, you think they could have surrounded those vandals, right, and then process them in the proper manner, which you would do with criminals. But unfortunately, you don't hear it. Why move them on to another area, to cause more havoc in a greater population? I mean, surely they had enough numbers to arrest these people and process them in the proper manner. I mean, let's face it, the police are the ones with the phaser guns and guns with real bullets. I mean, they shouldn't have any problem of, rounding these so-called youths up. But yes, it's I see it partly. They're actually they're creating news. They're not actually.
Oh, I mean, that's most of it. What's out there. I mean, they get a call from whatever political headquarters, and he's saying, there's something happening over here. We don't want anybody to focus on. So let's derail a train with all sorts of nasty chemicals on it.
Yeah.
Or
exactly.
Let's blow up something somewhere.
Yeah.
And
just like the 9/11,
Yeah. I have to believe that 80% of the tragedy that you see on the nightly news is created for the nightly news.
Yeah.
I don't hear for squat. I have arthritis. I have replacement knees. Not everything works on me, but my memory is really good, and I have a thing for faces. And I remember, I'm going back into the 80s now, all the way through. You kept seeing the same injured infants in Lebanon, in Israel, in Gaza, maybe in Iran. You see them running out. The dads are almost all the same, but dressed a little bit differently, but the kids almost always look the same. And then I think eventually, I know some sharp-eyed news reader, because I can't call them news reporters or whatever, or journalists, because they are not that. They will come up with something snappy, to fill in the blanks, but they don't. I have absolutely total disregard for the press here in the United States. They're a bunch of lying bastards. I'm going back into the late 60s now. I was at the University of Washington attending class, and it was reported on the evening news that the Students for a Democratic Society, SDS, and the Weathermen were having an anti-war protest. And they were in the Commons area there at the University of Washington. And I was just there taking one class. I wasn't a full-time student, even a part-time student. I wanted to get a particular class. And I saw a pickup truck heading towards the School of Agriculture, and it was carrying a half a dozen or a dozen beehives. And it got into a small fender bender, because there was a lot of people there, was a lot of sort of chaos. But this guy had absolutely nothing to do with the protest or anything else. He's just trying to deliver these beehives. And one of the hives fell off the back of the truck. It wasn't secured properly. And it stung. About 150, 180 people got stung.
Yeah, there was a swarm. Yep.
Yeah. But on the news, they say that the right-wing protesters to get even with the SDS and the Weathermen, the protesters went in there and let loose these nasty bees. No, they did. You're a bunch of lying bastards. I saw the movie. I saw the TV crews out there. I saw the accident, and what happened was not what they reported in the evening news.
Yeah. Look, I look exactly the same, mate. Like, I remember this news. There was this guy on the scene, and he was actually taking a video of this small fight going on. Apparently, the news crew was there. The ABC news crew was there, but they got the cameras in so close. All they saw was the shuffling of people, but it looked like there was a major riot going on. And it went on the news. That it was a riot. Blah 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 downtown. Yeah. Well, this guy posted exactly the same thing on YouTube, and he pulled back, and you can only see there was only about 5 people in the street fight. But up close with the news cameras, all they saw was arms and legs flying everywhere, and it looked like a real scuffle. And it's how you see it. If it's up close, it looks like a lot of people. Pulled back, you only see it's only 5 people. And it's very deceiving, absolutely deceiving. Anyway, I'm going to go on to the next video, which I think it's more informative.
Okay.
A couple of people do actually give an interview, give their insight of actually what happened, what they saw, which I thought was quite enlightening to me, because these people seem to be credible. That's the thing. You can tell by the body language and the way they compose themselves. And I can't see that they're not out to kind of make a name for themselves, but it's quite interesting. I'll put it on now. Where's the sound? Yep, it's sound. Can you hear anything?
No.
I'm
hard of hearing anyway, but no, the audio wasn't on or wasn't being transmitted.
White, and then really slowed it down, as well as turned down some of the brightness. Watch right here and see something really tall.
Now that's a big dude, mate.
Now here I'm going to back it up.
Look, if you can see later on, you'll see a little bit of a car to one side. I think it's a car. Look at the size of the car next to in the gutter.
Walking in front. Right there.
I think I saw this clip. I mean, but it was a shadow person.
I know, but if you look at the side, you can see the vehicles right there in the car park, and then as it's scanning across, now it's in a totally different color. Look at the size of that person when you compare it to the cars that's around.
Oh yeah, 10 feet tall. Yeah.
In front of that building and see how it's kind of.
It could be Barron Trump. It was reported today that he's 6'7" and growing still.
Yeah, one more time.
Yeah. Now that would freak you out. I don't care how bad you are. I mean, talking about gang bad. You see a dude like that coming towards you, and you have to go home and change your shorts.
Well, that's right. I mean, this is one of the gentlemen that actually gave an interview the way he described it when he's been talked about, why didn't I take my camera phone out and film it? He says, when you got your family and something freaky like that happens, because he's not calling it alien. He doesn't know what it was, but he says it wasn't human as far as he was concerned, right? And he says, because he had an autism cousin, I think it says a cousin or nephew or something, nephew, I think it was. He says she had to care for as well. So I'll continue.
Okay.
And it's like pretty transparent in a way.
He looks like he looks like he's made of just sort of energy.
Yeah, it's either that or it looks like it's something.
We all saw what happened,
and
it's pretty serious. It's been a few days, but our whole family's processing it. But I think we've kind of like accepted that we were a part of this weird experience and moment. So basically, what happened was I was there with my brother Brian, my sister, and my nephew. We were looking for shoes for my nephew. And then we see a whole crowd of people outside the store, just running out in a direction. So, as soon as we saw it, we were like, oh shit, what's going on? So we immediately ran out with our nephew, and we picked him up and we ran out and we followed the crowd. And then about like a few seconds later, as soon as we started running, my nephew, he's autistic, so he was pointing behind us and he was saying blankie, which he'll usually say whenever he feels unsafe or scared. And he was pointing behind us. So me and my brother, we look behind us, and then we see these 3 9-10 foot tall creatures. I'm not gonna say aliens. Everyone keeps saying it's aliens. I'm not saying aliens because I don't know what it was. None of us really knew. Everyone, all of us stopped in our track. We, a whole bunch of people were pointing at it. There were other people running. There was a crowd. As soon as it made itself more apparent, it looked like it was glitching, not like a computer pixelation, but like a wavy glitch. And whatever maybe was covering them had, unveiled or whatever. It looked like a glitch, man. It like a weird glitch in the Matrix or whatever. And then you could see it in its full form, all 3 of them. And then, they were all black. You saw eyes, and you could faintly see like lips. But, I was about like 20 feet away. Because obviously everybody gave it distance, right? And, they're tall. So we all just like looked at them. They were just standing there. And the thing that was a little bit weird, but it was clearly like observing us. It was sentient, right? Like, or whatever. I don't know, but, it was aware of us. It looked at us, the whole crowd. And then as soon as it started walking with its big legs, like kind of like it started like almost glitching again, we all ran. My brother like immediately said, yo, let's go. He grabbed me by the shoulder. We bolted out of there. And for anyone that's like saying, where's the footage? Yeah, I know. I don't have any footage, and I'll explain why. Cause like when I saw it, I was in complete fear. It was something that I completely froze, man. I don't care if I sound like a bitch about it. Like, I froze. And I don't care who you are. I feel like when you're seeing something paranormal, it's different than when you're seeing a fight. Yeah, you'll probably want to record that and put it on World Star or whatever. When you see something paranormal, that's different. Because your reality, you can't comprehend what you're seeing.
All right. Yeah.
He's a sharp kid.
Yeah, well, he doesn't sound like an idiot. He seems to conveying his message across, in a sensible way. You can see that he's sincere, and that's the thing that gets to me when I see when he talks. He's talking about what he actually seen, and and how he felt and what he experienced. You know, I mean, he wasn't kind of putting on any kind of, you know,
He wasn't reading a script.
no, definitely not. And he
That was
describing it how he saw it, which I find that guy's, to me, he's credible. He is credible. And if he's lying, well, he should get an Oscar. And I tell you, that's all I can say is.
And he's as credible as anybody that I've heard on the news. Not necessarily talking about this particular subject, but a human event.
Exactly.
This kid is level-headed, descriptive. Telling about the people around him, and how he felt. I mean, he was terrified. Yeah. Again, when you're terrified, the only thing you have going through your mind is, I gotta get the hell out of here.
Exactly. You're not thinking about getting out your cell phone and let's take a video of this. That's for sure. You know, it's not worth it. Anyway, I'll continue playing this, Jim. I'll continue with it.
Film this. This shit is so crazy. I'm posting this, and I want y'all to repost, save this video, post it on other platforms before it gets taken down. Because I want to clear up some of this misinformation about the Bayside Mall incident that happened. So me and my girl was in town, and we were shopping at the mall, and we noticed a lot of kids there. It wasn't a real big deal at first until they got to arguing and shoving, and then like weapons got brought in, and they started fighting, running all over the mall, chaos just all over the place. So we thought we heard gunshots, but it turns out that was actually fireworks. But either way, that caused everybody to start rushing for the doors. People was leaving stuff behind. I mean, just dragging their kids. It was just complete fucking chaos, man. Anyway, so as we running, we look back and we noticed some weird shapes taller than me. I'm 6'2", shadowy, dark, solid shapes, not human. I promise you, these is not human. I mean, it made the hair stand up on my skin. And shit, we just booked it for the doors after that, man. I can't explain what that was. I can't say that was aliens, but I can say that was not human. It was not human. And they online, I don't know if they're trying to cover this stuff up, but they saying that it was police officers and somebody, not shadowy figures. It's 2024, man. It's something going on. There's something going on, and they trying to cover it up. A lot of people saw what I saw, and like I say, it was so much chaos ensued that it was just hard to let that sink in, that we was realizing what we looking at. I mean, it's something you can never even create in your head in a dream. I'm putting this out there though, man, because I want people to know that this stuff is real. Get this out and spread this. And if you were a person that was there and you saw what I saw, please put this video out, because they trying to cover this stuff up, man. They don't want us to tell the truth. And I got a good feeling this video will be taken down. So don't listen to the media. This shit is real. And whatever it is, they do not want people to know about it. I can't even, man.
Now, what's your opinion about that one, Jim?
This guy was scared. He's not reading from some script. He's not trying to become a celebrity. Like he said, he was scared shitless.
Yeah.
And I mean, and you look at someone's eyes, and they say that's the window to a soul, and I think that's why I love women's eyes so much, because you can tell a whole lot. I screwed up on a couple of my wives, but I guess I was.
Well, hey, haven't we all? And they'd probably say the same about us too. You know what I mean? But then again,
they had green screens there and they had put some flowery stuff up there. So it's fooled me. But so that was 15 years of my life, 5 and 10. That's almost like a sentence for doing something wrong.
Yeah, and you pay for it financially.
Yeah,
well,
no, I mean this man. I mean, like I said, he says I'm 6'2", and he towered over me.
Right.
And described him as like a shadow man.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
it wasn't a person.
Mm.
I mean, he could be pure energy or energy that we don't quite understand in a human looking form. And maybe that's how they move around. The mall security cameras, some of them are really high tech, should have these on there. But of course,
Yeah.
you and I and the general public, won't know a friggin' thing.
And if they did show us, you don't know if it was from the week before either.
Yeah.
With the timestamp, know.
But apparently today, I think it was today, in the United States Congress, they went into a classified briefing room today,
Right.
and they were all joking. Oh, we're gonna go see some pretend flying saucers and little gray men. And a couple hours later, when they came out, they had looks of horror on their face. And that may be the reason, one of the many reasons that the government, or maybe even the entities, don't want us to see, the real beings. Or, I mean, like I said, oh gosh.
Well, David Grush actually in one interview, when they actually talked about aliens, and he actually emphasized more so on interdimensional beings, which
a shadow person.
Yeah, from interdimensional, and which kind of what these people are describing sounds like something that could possibly be. I'm not saying it is, but I mean,
yeah.
If it's kind of phasing in and out, like into our reality and out of our reality sort of thing, or dimension, as you might say, it sounds feasible, but it's something, which we've got to have more transparency. Anyway, listen, I'll keep playing on this video.
Okay.
To make this video because I think I've already been blacklisted online from a couple different places, but I'm very pro free speech, so I'm gonna tell the truth anyway about what I saw. Now, I'm driving down in Miami with a girlfriend pretty late at night, and I suddenly see hundreds, and I mean hundreds of cop cars swarming the entire city, the entire area. You could literally hear the sirens from over a mile away. I've never seen anything like this. Guys, I've been in Miami 3 years and I've never seen a response like this. I genuinely thought that there was some kind of terrorist attack. It was honestly frightening. So obviously I'm curious. I pull up the car, we get out and we start talking to people. People are pretty calm. I'm talking to them, I'm asking them what's going on. And one person told me that they were at the Bayside Marketplace. And again, these are their words, I kid you not. They told me that they saw a creature, I know it sounds ridiculous, 7 feet tall, walking around. I was like, this is insane. So I asked, I'm like, this person's crazy. I go and talk to another woman who's there in a state of actual panic, and she tells me that she saw something out of a movie. She said it looked like Alien from the Alien film in the 1980s, I think she said it was. It's insane. So I get out my phone, right? Because I want to film this and I want to get these interviews for you guys because no one's going to believe what happened. And so I get out my phone and I start recording. The police come running over to me and they take my phone and make me delete the couple seconds that I recorded. And then they ushered me along. Obviously, this is Miami PD, the cops in America. I don't want to mess with them. They're not like the cops in England. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I delete the footage and I move along. Anyway, I get back into my car and I see choppers in the sky. And it's just insane because the police are saying the official story is that there were just juvenile kids playing with fireworks. Why was there a chopper in the sky? Why were there hundreds, and I mean hundreds of police cars? Why did it look like some kind of 9/11 response? I've never seen anything like this. I really couldn't believe it. Anyway, so there's these choppers in the sky and they're shining these lights down as if they're like looking for something. And I see a small glimpse of something. I don't know what it was. It didn't look like juvenile kids playing. It looked like something that wasn't human, and it actually freaked me out. So we got back into the car, we started driving, and then you could see, and this is, and you guys can look this up, the electricity in the surrounding area went out. Explain that to me. Why does the electricity in the surrounding area go out just because some kids are playing with fireworks? It makes no sense. But guys, look, all I know is the Epstein files have just come out. This seems like one massive distraction. The same thing happened when Ghislaine was in court. There was a massive distraction. We had the whole Johnny Depp and Amber Heard saga, which distracted people for weeks. So something weird is going on. We need to be vigilant. And yeah, if you're ever in that kind of situation, make sure you're recording, and the police don't snatch your phone like they did with me.
Right.
That irritates the hell out of me, that the police have the balls to do that.
Yeah, well, that's an invasion of your liberty. That is an invasion.
You haven't broken any law. He may not like you that you're there. I mean, I'm a strong police proponent of good policemen, because in my mom's side of the family, there's a half a dozen cops, and no, there are a lot of incredible cops, law enforcement officers, both in the sheriff and and or city or special units. But all it takes is one or two power hungry assholes,
narcissists, I call them. Yeah,
yeah, and they have mayors have made it so difficult, and city councils have made it so difficult for law enforcement today. I asked a friend of mine who was retiring from the police force, and I said, and this is the Minneapolis police force, and where George Floyd died of a fatal dose of fentanyl.
Mm.
And why are that Derek guy, the police officer, is still behind bars is a travesty. I was in Minneapolis during that entire week. They burnt down their own neighborhood. It didn't make sense, and everybody was videotaped. There were guys going in with the earpieces in, with a big hammer or like an ice pick, breaking windows as he walked down the street. That was instigated, and I think it was instigated by our government.
Well, again, look, I personally, I don't know too much about American politics as such, and I mean,
they don't either. So you just went mute. You must have hit your mute button. There you go.
Okay, mate. Are you with me? Am I with you now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes. We have enough problems, as I said, with our own politics, and but our police. I find we get the odd arrogant policeman here in Australia, but most of them are pretty cool. They're okay. You can go up to and talk to them. They don't kind of throw the weight around. They seem more like in Australia. I don't know about what they're really like in America, but in Australia, they go to university and they learn a certain amount of law, of course, at university, and know how to they communicate. That they do behave as though they are public servants, and they are courteous in many ways. If they're in there doing the job in the capacity where they're doing investigation, of course they have this more what we call it standover, more authoritarianism. They show their authority without being a bully as such.
Yeah.
But again, you always do get a bad apple. I mean, wherever you go. I mean, and it's that one bad apple that can put the rest of the barrel off. You know what I mean? So
yeah. My cousin Sal, who retired, he's a retired police lieutenant and a former Navy SEAL. He's a bad mother boy. No, he had no neck. It just went right here down to his shoulders. He wasn't very tall. He's about 5'6", maybe 5'7".
Our rugby players are like that. Our rugby football place. You like that?
Yeah, and his son was also my cousin, was a police officer in Richmond, California. And if you've ever been in or near Richmond, California, if you're our complexion, you don't want to have your car break down because they won't find you. So, but he was their number one police officer in the city of Richmond. He had every award, every accommodation, everything else. And he was making tons of money. He said, I asked him, I said, Dominic, have you ever shot anybody? And he said, there's about 20 or 30 times when I should have pulled my gun and shot the bastard. But I knew I had absolutely no support in the mayor's office or the city council, or even in the police commission. The biggest thing I had against me, I was white.
Right.
And they, and they were, the city council and the police commissioner would have not support their men and women in the field. So he got a job in Montana, in the middle of friggin' nowhere, and I just got a note from his mother, saying it's 38 below, and that's real temperature, not wind chill. And he took a $70,000 a year cut in basic pay. He was able to buy a 4-bedroom house. He says, I have more money now than I can ever remember having because he's not paying an arm and a leg for everything. They don't have a regressive state income tax and a city tax and a county tax and a tax on a tax because, well, we got to tax something. We tax everything else too much. That's not their damn money. I mean, I'm just, I get crankier the older I get. Or maybe not necessarily cranky. The soft filters have worn out and have been discarded. Now they're going to hear what I really think without any fluff associated with it.
Yeah, actually, I've always said as I've got older, I just don't take as much crap like I used to.
Yeah.
I what have I got to lose? I mean, I'm not at my age. I'm not out to impress anybody. Hey, all the people that care to me, hey, I get along with. Like yourself. I mean, so there are some people you meet first off, and some people say, oh, they're nice, and you look at them, they're a piece of shit. I mean,
Why have been called a piece of shit multiple times? Or hey,
exactly.
Someone said, well, hey, what should I call you? I said, whatever, asshole works.
As long as it's not late for dinner, as my dad would say, you call me whatever you want. It's not late for dinner.
Yeah. No, exactly. I was a little fat, chubby kid with a crew cut. I walked to school, and when I finally got a set of wheels, it was a 1958 brand new Honda 50, 49 cc's. It took 9/10 of a gallon. So if gas was at 19 cents a gallon, which it was back then, in California, in the Bay Area, I would get 15 cents worth of gas and my tank was full. And I would get 45, 50 miles to the gallon. And it's just, things have changed so much in California. I used to be proud of the fact that I grew up in the Bay Area, and when you didn't refer to it as Frisco or San Fran, you said San Francisco, because it was at the time it was referred to as Baghdad by the Bay. and like Tony Bennett said, he left his heart in San Francisco. Well, today, not only would you leave your heart because someone cut it out of your chest, but you've lost your car and your wallet and everything else. I mean, some guy pulled up, he had to rent a car, and he had all sorts of very expensive test equipment. I don't know, lab equipment or whatever it was. And he had it in his trunk. He stopped in a 5-minute zone, and he was only gone 5 minutes. When he came in there, his suitcase was gone. All his equipment was taken. His cell phone was in there. Everything was gone. And people had been the same people that were standing there when he walked in were still standing there when he walked out. And you see what happened? No, we thought it was his car. Yeah, so people will not drive through San Francisco anymore. It's gotten too dangerous, and that's terrible. I mean, it's just. But now we're getting off the subject. But the copy erasing the young lady's phone. What gave him the right? What law allowed him to do that?
Yeah, but she's not the only one that done it to. I mean,
someone should go to the city council or go to the mayor in major protests, saying, "Hey, this is a bunch of crap. If I'm at a scene that is of national interest, now if it's a UFO from another solar system or even an entity from a different totally different realm, if you want to call it an entity. I would think law enforcement and our government, which is supposed to be we the people, we have evidence of what these creatures or these beings look like and what they did, and if they had said anything. But by you going in and making everybody erase, taking their phone, grabbing their phones out of their hand, not saying, "Please, may I have the phone?" I'm asking you, erase. You have to. I'd like for you to erase your last few seconds of video. And if she said no, maybe then you would say, "Well, I'm going to have to confiscate your phone then." Not going there and have her erase that video. That is destroying evidence. That by itself should be a crime if there was a crime committed.
Exactly. And what my major concern is, trying to get my head around, how come there wasn't media? I mean, networks on the ground with their TV cameras out, with the camera crews there, covering it. I mean, on the scene itself at the mall. Why?
Because they were told not to.
Why? That's another reason. Why were they told not to? That's $1 million question, isn't it?
I mean, there's the presence of alien beings, whether they are a transcendental energy field with no real substance to it. It's there, you can see them, but they're sort of transparent or fuzzy, like they aren't fully, fully defined, but you can tell who they are.
Yeah, but also too with the layways mix up with the S and the M with Antarctica and Miami.
Yes.
On that report, that was very fascinating. Interesting. That the person brought that up and about the way lines and I haven't really looked. I did hear about it. It's trouble is you don't get all that much time in a day. Every time you see something, I'm going to record that. I'm going to record. Yeah. You'll never be off the bloody computer. You know what I mean? Nothing will get done around the home.
I'm on it too much as it is, but. I don't drink. I'm pretty much a homebody. I don't beat my dog or my wife. So I spend an inordinate amount of time in front of this rectangular device that comes from, must be an orchard or something, because there's an apple on the back of it. And I have actually a bigger secondary screen on the other side of it. Because when I'm putting my books together, I have most everything shrunk down, and I have the one on my right is where I pick and choose stuff. And then when I'm laying a book out, for example, I'll do it directly on my Mac with my secondary monitor there. That's where I have everything out full size, so I can see when I'm selecting. So I spend an awful lot of time, and then I have I'm a news freak, so I read news from all over the planet.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it's
by
just,
the way, Jim, just by the way, sorry, I just whoever's listening there, I just put a link in the chat there. If you want to join us, feel free to click on the link and come in and give us your 2 cents worth, and welcome to join us. Just
yeah.
mind your language. I mean, you can't swear more than Jim and I. Not allowed.
Yeah, I try to keep it clean.
Yeah. We've got senior privileges here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. A little bit.
No, but,
well, I
anybody
forgot
wants to
all
join,
about
definitely.
it. I forgot. Oh, yeah. I thought I was going to that. Never mind.
Yeah.
But it actually, you know what a TFR is?
Go on. Tell me, Jim.
It's a temporary flight restriction.
Oh, yes.
The
yes,
FAA
okay.
will send it out, and it's internet. It's for everybody. And they put out a TFR for the island of Kwajalein in the South Pacific. It's 50 kilometers, which is good size. And he said possible death by radiation if you were to come in through the north. If you have to land at Kwajalein, you approach us from the south. So, you know, that's what they used to launch ICBM's warheads into Kwajalein, the area. I mean, it's a big missile test facility. And also down in the South Pacific, you know, Vanuatu and the Bikini Islands. That's where we had above ground nuclear detonations that were mostly managed out of Kwajalein. And then we had Johnson Island, where it was 1,500 miles due south of Honolulu, and that's where they incinerated all the nerve gas that was stored.
Yes. Yeah, actually, I remember that back in the 70s at the end of the Cold War. Even Russia sent their stuff to, on the Cold War, sent all their stuff to Hawaii to be destroyed.
Yeah. We went to Johnson Island. I have a guy I knew that was stationed there, and I said, "What is there to do?" And he said, "Not much." I mean, you can walk around the whole atoll, and in maybe an hour, just sort of kicking seashells on the beach there. It's an interesting place, but it's Johnson Island has become overgrown. But when they say that there's a high radiation hazard and it could be lethal, that is something that you don't know. I mean, this is if you're flying in an airplane.
Yeah.
I can see if the ground's contaminated or the water's contaminated, but how is it going to affect you at 30,000 feet, or if you're coming in to approach into Kwajalein? And the thought is it may be a new type of microwave weapon.
Right. And
they've been testing it out there. That's the only thing that makes sense, because if you on the south side of the island, there's apparently no danger, and they give you a frequency on the TFR who to contact via radio. But under no circumstances were you to be within 50 kilometers of Kwajalein on the north half, from the more or less the equivalent of the equator north.
Right.
And it's through January 31st. So it isn't a temporary thing. Now, it's possible that, they had been some underwater detonation, non-nuclear, and that stirred up a tremendous amount of radioactive material from all the, the bomb blasts and stuff they've had there, during the above ground. And did that blow it into the air? And there's a northerly wind, or?
Well, you're touching on a very delicate subject that I've been kind of looking into for a long, long time here, Jim. I mean, people actually start doing their homework, and you've got to realize, since the Second World War, there's been over 2,200 nuclear thermal bombs tested And that's including hydrogen bombs.
Yeah.
Now, there was a treaty signed, agreed to in 1970 where they banned all this, what they call nuclear detonation, except North Korea still keeps doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
put all this
the nuclear test ban. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But the thing was, here I go about global warming and what's happening in the world and everything else. But if you remember back in the late 60s and 70s and early 80s, we were talking about the ozone layer. There was a massive big hole in the ozone layer.
Yeah.
And they decided to blame it was CRC gases from air conditioners. I mean, let's put this way: there's more shit going into the atmosphere than CRC gases. Even today, right?
And one good volcano can screw up everything else.
Yeah, right. And then we talk about. Look, it goes back. We had acid rain. We've had. We're going in for an ice age. We're going into it now. We're talking about now governments lying to us. We're talking about the establishment, just like what's happening in Miami. They're not telling us the truth.
They're a bunch of lying rat bastards, all of them.
Yeah. They're making up their bloody stories to cover up their narrative. They're covering up everything because they don't want us to know. I mean, I can understand how the general public could freak and how it could throw what are called dogmatic bloody religion out the friggin' window. It really can. It shake up a lot of people's beliefs. But thing is, what I want to focus on is that back in 1970, the Earth was 2 degrees warmer. And people kind of turn around and say, oh, yeah, and we're talking about global warming. Do you know what? Let's not look at motor cars for a moment. If you remember in your own history, even as a kid, do you ever remember reading about smog in New York, smog in London, smog in China, smog in Japan, where people are wearing masks? Now, the air's a lot cleaner now than what it was then, right?
Los Angeles. I can remember going down. I was heading down to Laguna Beach. I was living up in Hollywood Hills, and I looked up in the sky, and it was really strange. It was a brown ball in a gray sky. This was smog. This is the 1966. You go out and I can remember working up on Hollywood Boulevard in Sunset, down Sunset Strip, when I worked for Xerox. And I can remember they had the Santa Anas blowing one day, and I'm right there on Sunset in La Cienega, and I'm looking west. And for the first time ever, I could see the Catalina Islands. I could see Santa Catalina. It was unbelievable. It was so clear you could almost reach out and touch it. Well, 2 days later, back to the you can barely make out a silhouette if you know it's there.
Yeah. The thing is, I'm getting it too, Jim. Back in 1920, it's not that people are running cars as well, and nasty cars. Remember, lead fuel, the whole lot, right? Oh. And not just that, the aircraft as well. And in the meantime, people were burning either coal or wood fires.
Yeah,
they were also still cooking on wood stoves in many areas. Right now, the thing I'm getting at is, surely the pollution, what they call, if you want to talk about global pollution, air quality, was 10 times worse back in those days than what it is today.
It is, yeah.
And more toxic. I mean, hey, look, even pipes had lead in it, right? Your water pipes had lead in it, which causes cancer. I mean, we've improved so much in our daily lives since the Second World War. Our things have changed from lead to copper pipes. From now we're going over to PVC pipes and polyurethane type pipes. We're getting away from kind of harsh materials now. But the thing is, people don't realize in 1970, the global planet was 2 degrees warmer than what it is today. And that's a scientific fact. Now, what caused that global warmth? Nuclear thermal bombs. I mean, can't tell me, hey, if a bomb's big enough to wipe out a city, and they've detonated 2,000 of these since 1945 right up to 1970.
Well,
I mean, 2,200.
the French detonated some in the late 80s against the Test Ban Treaty that they had signed.
Yeah, in the French Polynesian Islands.
Yep.
And they don't talk about all the seagrass they killed off on that too.
Yeah.
Some of the people on those islands had to be relocated.
Yep.
You know, they lost their homes because somebody wanted to play with their firecracker, you know. But yet they're all calling out now global warming, global warming. It's bullshit. It really is BS. I mean,
what I reposed, I don't know. I couldn't go find it right now, but it is a chart of global temperatures, not climate, but global temperatures over the course of about 2000 BC up to the present time. There were times where the average high temperatures during a period, this is back in about 1100 AD, or maybe it was around 700 AD, but it was a peak of activity. It may have been around near the time of the birth of Christ. And there was a spike on the time when they figured the pyramids were built. And then there was the drop where you had the dark ages where it was cold and dreary, and that's when the smog in I know in London was incredibly fierce. And you look at the highs and the lows and everything else, and you realize we're being fed bullshit by the so-called weather experts.
Yep.
No, there's a big difference between what's happened in the last 150 years, and that's all the records we really have here in the U.S. They only go back 150, maybe in the East Coast around where the first settlers were. They may have kept some stuff. Freaky geek. Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%. But there, NASA, or it may have been NOAA, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. Yeah, they had indicated some stuff that I read that the world overall temperature has started to decrease starting in 1986, and there's been a measurable change every year as far as when you graph it all up. It may be a ziggly line going down, but it's going down. It said we're in the verge of the beginning of the next ice age.
Yeah, and then now they're trying to twist that around and saying it's global warming. Now the CO2 in the atmosphere that's causing this, a blanket to block out the sun and everything else. I mean,
that's what gives us oxygen, because that's the food for plants and trees.
Isn't it funny? It's funny. I exactly right. I mean, it comes to the point as like always turn around and say, hey, would this planet really lose? I mean, if we didn't exist, I mean, is that a really big deal? The planet will still go on. I mean, do we deserve this planet? I mean, if you want to look at it, do we deserve to have it? I mean, look what we do. Right. We all we want to do is create things that can kill each other more faster and more efficiently. And then we're not just
that's progress. That's progress.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah, got it. Yeah, I can kill millions of people efficiently within a few minutes. No worries. Hypersonic speed. No worries. Fast and boom. Yeah. There's no winners in that. No. Well, then we look at disease, bacteria, diseases, and stuff. They develop in labs, and it's like they're creating a time bomb which is going to wipe out humanity anyhow. Because once it takes hold, bang, there's no control on it. I mean, do we really deserve this planet? I mean, I think this planet.
The way we're going, I as much as I love Mother Earth, and I've had a wonderful time in it. I don't worry for me. I'm concerned about my son, my daughter, and my 5 grandsons, and a couple ex-wives. Not all of them, but a couple of them. And we don't deserve this place. We really don't.
That's
I mean,
that's
and
that's what I feel sometimes, you know.
I mean, it breaks my heart the way, people just throw their crap around, and
Yeah,
you look at rivers in third world countries, and you could walk on the floating debris, plastic primarily.
yeah. Actually, there's some in the Pacific,
Oh
North
yeah,
Pacific, where they reckon where the current comes in. They reckon that there are megatons, literally megatons of garbage and plastic just floating in it's like a soup.
yeah.
Now they're talking about having special trawlers made to go and collect this stuff, and then they're going to drag it out the ocean, and then they're going to recycle it. I mean,
Throw it back in the ocean. Yeah.
Well, can you imagine the toxic fumes they create with remelting plastics? I mean, you can't get away from the toxic fumes of it all.
No.
You know,
No.
I mean, the EPA is a joke. It really is. I mean, we like in Australia, we've got actually. I'll be honest. In Australia, we have a very clean environment. I mean, there's only was it 20, 22, 23 million people, maybe a little bit more.
99% of your beautiful country is empty.
Exactly right. And so our air is of a high quality, you know.
Yeah.
But our EPA is a joke because they only work 8 hours a day during the day, right? So at night time, when it's dark, all these big companies like Alcoa and all these other big American companies and Australian companies, they push out their pollution into the atmosphere at night, and it goes out to sea. And in the early hours of the morning, you can drive along the coast, you look out over the ocean, and it's like an orange mist all on the horizon, just like a sunset. You know, it's so orange. That's how toxic it is, right? And it goes out to the sea. Now, as the day progresses, it kind of disappears. But come evening, we get the sea breeze. We call it the Fremantle Doctor. Roughly about 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a hot summer's day, we get this sea breeze coming in, and it's a really nice, cool change. But sometimes years ago, you could smell it. You could actually smell the industry in the air when the sea breeze comes back in. But it's not so bad now, though.
Yeah.
It's not so bad now.
I mean, I can remember just how bad it was in the 60s. Yeah, even if it's, I grew up, my dad, I think at the time he was a professor at Stanford on post engineering, but he worked for a company called Leeds and Northrop. And my grandfather had died of tuberculosis in 49. So starting when I was 6 weeks old, we'd drive down from the Bay Area down to Laguna Beach. And that was sort of my second home growing up. But I'm not sure. I've been smoking too much. I'm not sure. I lost track of where I was going.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you're going down to Laguna Beach, mate. And
yeah.
You know,
so I actually watched it go from pristine to really bad there in the 70s. EPA came around, more of a civil conscience to companies where they didn't do it out of the kindness of the heart. I know that because I dealt with pollution control equipment for a number of years. But the air is clear up there now. You drive there, you can see, I've been in Riverside looking at this the mountains. I think the San Bernardino Mountains. I think. And they had snow on them, and it was beautiful. And it was probably what California looked like in the 50s or the 40s. And it was absolutely a beautiful place. Now, I don't know where they all came from. Maybe the aliens dropped them off from from some other planet, and we may be the insane asylum and the public housing for the unemployables. And they just bring them and dropping them in big cities. They sort of all blend in, but they're all creatures from other solar systems.
Here's the planet Earth on the edge of the solar system, the galaxy there. Let's put them out there too far away from everybody. They can't do any harm.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll just check in on them once in a while, see how they're going.
Yeah. So I don't know. I know they're here.
Yeah, I know they're here. I mean, as an experience myself, I mean,
I've interviewed and talked to too many. I had 27 years in the military. My TI in basic training, this is March 1962. And he said, Goodall, you have everything going for you but your mouth. But that mouth has got me into a lot of places that I normally wouldn't have gotten into if I hadn't been so mouthy. But they also, the good Lord blessed me with an incredible memory. I mean, I can remember in detail a lot of events that happened when I was 5, 6 years old. Yeah. I even asked my mom once. I described something, and I could see my Aunt Mary, I could see my Uncle Albert, I could see you, and I could see everybody, but I don't see my cousin Cookie. And I don't see my brother. And Mom was dumbfounded. She says, "You were at Willow Park, I think Willow Park, Willow Canyon Park. It's outside of Pittsburgh, California." She said it was a whole family gathering, the entire clan, all the Sicilians were together. And
the mafia.
Yeah, my father referred to them as the Mothers and Fathers Italian Association. And I described the whole area, and she was dumbfounded. She said, "You were only there once." And I said, "Well, how come I couldn't see Teddy or my cousin Cookie?" And my mom says, "Because you were 18 months old." I remember, that's the farthest back and I can remember. I can remember at 3.5, the back of the rumble seat of my dad's 34 Plymouth Coupe.
Strange you say that, Jim. When I was 6 years old, my mother went into isolation. She had tuberculosis. My father couldn't look after 3 kids. So, and of course, my grandparents are too old at the time. And so we went into one of my brothers and myself went into what they call a Red Cross home for a while. They looked after us. My father just kept the eldest son at home. There was 3 boys. And I remember we used to go walk along the beach and along the rocks off the cliffs of a place called Cronulla. And I was trailing behind the group on this walk. I was only 6 years old. And I looked at the base of the cliff. I was on the rocks below. And they're rushing us along saying, "Come on, the tide's coming in, we got to go." And I recall that. And I looked into this kind of cavity, and all I could see in this cave, rock cavity, was this rope with round cork on it, and there was a white bucket, and I saw this arm move. It's like a big claw just came down. And I said, "Shit." And I looked at it, and it was a crab. Now, no kid, mate, this crab, I would have stood about 4 foot in height, being a 6-year-old, right?
Yeah.
This crab would have been on the average, I would say, about 8 foot high and about 12 feet wide. It was huge. It was absolutely huge. Anyway, I remember actually saying to these people at the Red Cross Arms, "I saw a giant crab," and they kind of went, "Oh, silly," going, and because I carried on about it so much, they sent me to my room. You go and go. So I spent my 6th birthday being punished by saying something what I saw, right? What I seen. Anyway, years later, I was telling my dad about it. My dad said, "Hey," he says, "No, I've heard that exactly same story, son, so many times when he was my father's an ex-Royal Marine Commando.
Mm-hmm.
And after the war, he became a sea captain. He used to ride around these big super oil tankers back in the 60s and that. But apparently, my father said, no, you know, a lot of sailors on watch would actually swear they actually seen giant crabs. Giant crabs. It's nothing new, nothing different. You know, I mean, you're not saying something I've never heard before. So, well, it's good to have my father's kind of, yeah, you're right. You know, they do exist, but nobody talks about it. You know, like da. You know, it's kind of it's two way out there, and it's like everything else. Yeah, anything that sits outside the norm, it's two way out there. The government wants to condition us to believe they've got all the answers. They are the people that are they care for us to protect us. They're not. They're only looking up. These freaking politicians, they're career people. They don't give a shit. There's no integrity in any of these people. I mean, none of them have done a real day's work in their own whole life except sitting on their bloody backsides writing up policies. And do they write them up? No, they have an idea and have their friggin' secretary type it up. They don't do anything physical. All they do is come up with an idea and read stuff and stand up and talk about it. And that's all they bloody do. And what really gets me is when these pollies, most of them study law. They said, do you realize we can earn 3 times more in the private sector than what we would do in government? And you know what the trouble is? If they're in the private sector, mate, they would have to friggin' work for a living. They really would. Yeah. And they don't get all the perks. And look at the perks they get. You know, if you left your job from the Air Force, right, they're not going to provide you free transport. They're not going to give you a chauffeur or anything like that. They're not going to give you a security check to look after you. I mean, these people finish politics, right? They still get chauffeured limousines provided by the state.
Oh, there's the rat bastard in Congress, yeah.
Yeah, right. They get all these perks. You know, and if you have to retire, you have to wait until you're a certain age before you can pull out your pension. These guys can pull it in any time they want.
Yeah. There's a rumor going around that if my favorite former president is reelected in 2024, that he is going to, by his orders as commander in chief, he's going to get all of the Obama, Clinton, and Biden generals and admirals that have retired. He's going to put them on active duty, and he's going to charge a good number of them with treason.
And so he bloody should too.
And in our Constitution, the penalty for treason is death.
Yeah.
We're not. This is something that I see the country that I love. I spent 27 years offering my life up. I mean, I wasn't a combat person. I was a historian for most of the time. I retired as a Air Force historian. But I love this country. I love its history. I love what happened. That's why I'm fascinated by people who work in an area where they're dealing with incredible technology, one
of the crazy things is, Jim? And look, and I'm not sure if a lot of Americans will agree with me here, but in Australia, when I was growing up, my education covered the British history and American history and Australian history. Now, I mean, I can't tell you exactly how many presidents or, who the founding fathers are as such, but I know a hell of a lot of American history and British history. And I was very good, especially I was really good on Australian history. Uh-huh. But unfortunately, a lot of Americans themselves are not even aware of their own history or the world's history. You ask most Americans, where is Australia? They're going to tell you, they're going to look at Australia like it's Austria. Not Australia. They'll think of Austria. They wouldn't know where to look on the map, right? I mean, I was really surprised people didn't even know what's the capital of Australia. You know what I mean? In America, they don't know the capitals of different countries. All they know is their own backyard, and they don't even do a good job at that.
Yeah. I I'm
It's sad, you know.
I'm
It's
too
sad.
I'm too much short of 79. 79. I'm not slowing down. Sometime probably late February, early March, we're heading, if assuming we have the money, we're heading back to the jungles of Belize,
Oh, wonderful.
and we're going to
Wonderful.
start. We're going to pay a good, hopefully about 30 members of the village, whatever the prevailing wage is. We have a good idea what it is, and they're going to clear. They're going to clear a two. I'm getting echo.
Yeah, you know it is, don't you?
Yeah.
It's Robert's coming in. He's coming in to say hello, and he's got something on there, getting a bit of feedback. Come in, Robert. Hello, Robert.
He's streaming with audio only.
I don't know. Can't see him. I've put him into the. Hello, Robert. Come in, Robert. He's there, but I don't know why he's not coming up on the screen as such.
There's no audio from him.
No, nothing at the moment. It's too many steaks and beer, I think.
I don't think he drinks anymore.
No? Oh, no. Hey, I remember about 4 or 5 weeks ago, he had his scotch glass there, and I was enjoying the scotch.
Was it? I don't think he uses the glass. He didn't. Maybe I was too wasted to realize what he was. When I was at his place, I drove in there from the Denver area and had a delightful afternoon, evening. It was just a fun day. Met his delightful foreigner girlfriend. She's a real sweetheart.
Right.
And he has dogs. To me, any guy who has dogs is a good guy as far as I'm concerned. Unless of course he beats them and stuffs them in the South 40. So on a chain, during the winter. Scarlet is our rescue German Shepherd. She's about 60 pounds. There he is. Oh, smiley face. I see another face over there.
Where's your audio? Where's your audio there, Rob?
I don't know. Do you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah. Good evening, gentlemen. This is Louis, my friend. Here.
How you doing?
He's an initiate of the mind, and we've been enjoying football, steaks, brewskis, and
what was the final
talking about all kinds of the usual stuff to talk about.
What was the final score?
24-17?
26
yeah. 26-10?
13 or something.
13, something like that.
Yeah, 26-13.
Yeah.
Your team win, of course.
Yeah, the Chiefs have gone to the next round. So both games were there was two of them today, and the earlier one, the first half was great. It was the Browns and Texans.
Yeah.
And oh man, it ended up being a great game. The second half, the Texans took them to the cleaners, and then the Chiefs today. Now tomorrow we got Dallas and Green Bay against the Rams.
Jim, don't let Rosemary and those two get together, mate. Especially when it comes to football, huh?
Oh, did she watch American NFL?
Oh, I mean, I can be here in the computer. I can hear her screaming. Oh no! What the? Oh, Jay. I said someone must have scored, or someone must have got sacked a quarterback or something. And,
so we've got great games this weekend, which is great. So we did. So right now I've got, what do you say, about 5-6 inches of snow out there?
Oh yeah, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was worse yesterday.
Yeah. And
it's colder than hell. I'm sorry.
So Louis is you're actually of Mayan descent.
I am.
Right? So he's a Mayan.
Oh my goodness.
And he has some amazing lineage, and just you can tell that he's not from the rest of the planet. You know, you guys know what I'm talking about when we encounter those that are on this other level of woo, and we're all going, what?
Didn't the Mayans just have sacrifice? There's a sacrifice people there.
You know,
in part of the history.
Scoot up here a little bit.
You know what? Okay, what was the question again? I didn't hear you very well.
Yeah. The Mayans, didn't they used to kind of have this ritual of sacrificing people?
Well, it was more the Aztecs. The Aztecs were the ones that really did the human sacrifices. They're the ones that, ripped the heart out of the beating hearts out of their enemies and would eat them. And it was more the Aztecs. Now, there's kind of a misunderstanding about the Mayans. Some people say the Mayans did that. Others say that they did not do that. It's more the Aztecs, which came later. The Mayans had already disappeared by the time that Cortez came and conquered the Aztecs. So they'd been gone for many, many centuries. So.
Okay, now Jim, what's happening down in Belize? They're Mayans, aren't they? They're Mayans.
Yes. I'm. If all goes, we have been given the permission from the country of Belize, the government of Belize, they call it NISH, the National Institute for Culture and Heritage. They have given us the green light to start removing the overburden on the largest Mayan pyramid in Belize. And it's 260 feet, according to some very precise navigation equipment brought there by Tom Elmore. And we're hoping to raise enough money to start clearing the pyramid early spring. So we're not sure if it's going to happen, but we have a whole slew of stuff that we're gonna the organization, which was will have deeded in this one village 4 acres of riverfront to build a small 10 to 17 cabanas right on the river and the waterfall and whatever. So it's what you do when you're not quite a year away from 80 years old. What do you got to do? You go and play George of the Jungle, and I'm having a ball. And everybody, we made a presentation to the village elders what we want to do and what we wanted to do to the village. This particular village. Well, I guess in the 80s, the government of Belize did an aerial survey, I think using radar, and mapped all of the Mayan ruins and settlements and construction, because they could look through the trees and even the dirt. And everything was identified. But this one site, and it's 305 acres, there's 5 pyramids on this complex. With the tallest one being 260, and that's with the overburden and everything else on top. But you could see there's areas where you could see, bare stone. I mean, if you move some of the debris because it's worn. We're going to start. We're eventually the hope is that we're going to, once we get all the underbrush done, removed, all the way around. And all of the, and then we start with the overburden, get that down and everything. Thank you, Susan. B and I have been chattering for the last hour, waiting for the professor to show up. And
so wait a minute, you're not telling me that you guys are waiting for me to start flapping your yaps?
Oh no. Hey, we're doing quite well without you, mate.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, no, we didn't need you, but you were. But
Buzz
you
off.
were more than welcome to join us because you always
Yeah.
you always add flavor and
He's family. He's family, Jim. Hey,
Yeah,
he's family.
yeah.
Yeah, family.
So I appreciate the use of and the gratuitous and judicious use of the term flavor as opposed to smell. I acknowledge and respect that.
So how many beers did you have, mate?
I don't remember. Do you?
I'd say, I don't know, 3 or 4. I don't know.
3 or 4, maybe
Yeah,
something like
somewhere
that.
there.
We
Well,
both.
It was a long game.
And we got started around 3:34,
so,
something like that.
Yeah, something like
You're both cheap for the same team? Same team?
Yeah, we were both pretty much on the same teams, I think. Right?
You know what? I didn't really care. I just wanted it to be a close game, and it wasn't. So I could have gone either way.
Yeah, you like to live life on the edge, I gather.
Yeah, I want to see it go right down to the wire, man. I don't like these blowouts, you know.
Yeah.
I was hoping that the Pittsburgh Buffalo game was going to be on. Supposed to be on.
Yeah, that got canceled. Yeah,
on a Monday. I mean, I went to Metropolitan Stadium when I lived in Minneapolis to see the Vikings, and I've been in the stands where it was 21 below zero.
Oh my gosh!
And
oh my gosh!
And that particular one was against Dallas, and Bud Grant was the type of guy. I'm not going. Yeah, this is our home. I'm not going to give the opposing team, any luxuries. So we're not going to have heated seats and heaters on our sideline, which means they can't. And these guys trained out. They didn't have an indoor training area. They could use the arena there at the University of Minnesota. But they were the Purple People Eaters back in the 60s and very early 70s. Went to the Super Bowl 4 times, have never been back, and they didn't win all 4 times. They interviewed Carl Eller, which is one of the Purple People Eater linemen, and he says it was just another game. No. The Super Bowl is not just another game.
No.
I mean, it's the difference between going out on a date with Anne Hagee or a reincarnation of Marilyn Monroe. They both you both do the same thing, but the level of enjoyment is increased dramatically with the better choice.
Anyway, listen, Robert, I bring up to date what we've actually been covering tonight. It's this morning or tonight, depends where you are in the world. Anyhow, we were actually talking about what was happening in Miami. We did show some video clips earlier on about the interviews. Some people gave credible interviews, actually. They're very articulate with their what they're talking about, and very believable. And people did see things. Jim and I came to that conclusion that people did see 12 foot or 9 foot, 10 foot, whatever height beings. Won't call them aliens, we call them beings of some description. How also the police blamed it all on youths with sticks and firecrackers and stuff like that. But there's no word about arrests. There's no word about arrest. There was no word about there was nothing about any live television crews on the ground covering the issue. I mean, if it was somewhere else in America covering a shooting, which was
there was 100 plus patrol cars in front of the in and around the mall. I mean, you can see it for as far as the eye could see was just flashing red lights. As they have their cars parked with their lights on.
Nobody was arrested, as far as I could find out. When I searched the internet, nothing's coming up. But all they talk about, the people from the mall were actually ushered down out of the area into the downtown area. They pushed them out of the area to downtown. Now, you know, I mean, obviously with all the police that were there, I mean, with their phasers, with their deadly weapons of all sorts, you know what I mean? We're talking about shotguns, hand pistols, and God knows what. They couldn't arrest people, surround these so-called youths causing this chaos, as you might say. Where the hell did that come from?
When he passes gas, he does it.
Oh, that was beautiful.
I don't even know where those come from. All of a sudden, it's just there. That's how I used to get in trouble all the time.
Yeah, well, Jim, mind you, do you think people might have seen something like this down at Miami?
Yeah.
Just materializing. No, but the thing was, my question is, where's the media covering it? No media. Oh, the media downtown was covering all the people rushing into the area and the police chasing them, sort of thing, you know. But no one's been arrested. There's no actual footage. But the people that talked about, I mean, you asked Jim, it was so credible, their actual story of the event. But yet, media's not picking up on it. And it's like it's a narrative. People push out the area because they don't want people to talk. Plus, they talk about it. And plus, even one woman turned around and said, the police took her phone and deleted couple of seconds video she had of this interview she was having with this other person about what she saw. He deleted it from her violation of taking her phone and deleting it from her phone. You know, so where does it put? And of course, we've been covering all these lies the government feeds us since, not just for that, but since the period of the atomic bomb right through today. We covered a lot of other subjects, how they control narrative between global warming, you name it. You know, it's like, you know what global warming's about. It's all about taxes, isn't it? I mean, you know, they're going to hit carbon tax, but they don't pay it. We pay it on the goods across the counter. So
I thought it was an Aussie plot to take over the world.
Well, give us time. No, but you know what I mean. It's sort of narrative, this bullshit. They don't want us to know. Now the question is, why don't they want us to know? Why? Do you think it caused too much panic? Another War of the World scenario?
Well, I think that yes, and yes, and it's a both and answer. Not only is the information that's about to be, and this is one of the important things that I constantly drone on about, but apparently it's important enough for me to drone on about to risk any kind of reputation or credibility I may have had. But that's this. Language is the operating system of the mind. The words that are used to construct sentences, which then are therefore creating ideas, have been crafted carefully and curated to achieve a certain result. If the language in your mind determines the words that you use to describe what you're experiencing, then that's going to be your frame of reference. That's going to be your field, right?
What you're actually saying is we're being doctrinated.
Well, yeah. So, you know me, I get on the linguistic rant. So I'll throw out two things now. So the whole field of disclosure it's the wrong term. The idea that we're not alone and that we have remnants or the results of encounters with other alien species, that's not disclosure. We've known about that for millennia. It's in every culture, cosmology, on how and where somebody from up there or somebody down here or somebody from over there but somebody came in that was a badass and gave us stuff.
Well, it's in the Mayan artwork itself, isn't it? The Mayans actually have all their artwork and carvings depicting all this stuff as well. Not just the Aztecs, but also Aboriginal art. What's it? Cave paintings. Same thing. That they all depict something from the sky. You know, sky people, and with the Australian Aboriginals, they call them. They're from the dream times. You know, they're from the sky. Yes, it goes back. I'll say millennia. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it goes back throughout all of the records that we currently have uncovered and interpreted and tried to provide some kind of interpretation of. But what we've found so far, there's a common set of characteristics, habits, nature, the way that they're formed, the challenges they go through, the hierarchies they exist within, the squabbles among the immediate family, the siblings, and the parental. Every time you look at one, they have the same shit that they are structured around and end up going through. So when you see that, you think, well, where is that coming from? Where is this common theme that seems to be inhabiting all these different cultures, all these different species of Homo sapiens? Why are there, and this is something that science doesn't explain, why is there an Asian race, an African race, a Caucasian race? Why are all these different variations of humans? Where do they come from? They don't have an answer for that. There isn't the missing link that then caused the branches of the diversity of humanity. It doesn't exist.
Wouldn't most of their environment, if you're in the jungle and it's hot and it's humid, dark skin is probably more survivable if you're living and when you're living off the land.
Yeah, but also too, we've got the ancient biblical stories about the Tower of Babel, when the gods decide to kind of destroy the tower, and everybody went off into different parts of the world speaking different languages. Now that could have been a part where it could have been a genetic engineering or something. Just because they destroyed the tower at Babel, right, doesn't mean to say it was done overnight. It could have been something that could have been done over a couple of generations. You know, where all these people spoke the same language originally, then they went off into different lines, different languages, different cultures, different everything else. They were manipulated and changed.
A good example of that. My mom, my grandmother, Angelina Cardinale, she's Sicilian. They moved the whole village of Isola della Femme, which is right outside of Palermo, the entire fishing village part, and moved all of it into the San Francisco Bay Area, up in the Delta area, the San Joaquin Sacramento River Delta, and into a dirty little, filthy little river town called Pittsburgh. I lost track where the hell I was going. Oh.
Pittsburgh had something to do with Pittsburgh.
Yeah. No, it had something to do with Nana and her intuition. She could see the future. She could see remote viewing, and they would all. When the fishing fleet went out, and we're talking at 1901, a long time ago. That he would take the fishing fleet from San Francisco Bay when the season was over there, and then head up to Alaska, and they would be gone for 5 months. And they all get paid cash. There was no such thing as shore leave. There may have pulled into Sitka or maybe even Kodiak, but there was no. Alaska was not very well populated back then. Hell, it wasn't populated that when I was there in '64. But all the fishermen got paid different amounts of money depending on what they did. Hi there, Joyce. And the women would come up and say, Angelina, can you tell me? We know the boats are heading home. We still have another month and a half before they're back. Can you tell me how many that how much is in Giuseppe's pay envelope? And all the women would come to talk to my grandmother because she was the matriarch of the clan. She was the favorite. Back in Sicily, she was the mayor's goddaughter. So that night, Nana said that she would, in her dreams, she would call her long dead great aunt and ask her, "Can you look in Giuseppe's pay envelope and tell me how much is in his pay envelope?" And she'd give a number, and she always had a pad paper and a pencil right next to the bed, and she wrote down the amount, and it was usually good plus or minus $10. When my grandfather fell overboard, he's in waders. They're pulling in nets. They're on salmon runs. The water, the only thing that's keeping the water from freezing solid, it's like 34 degrees. It's because it has 60-foot tides or 45-foot tides. You fall overboard, the current will take you away. You're gone. And Nana woke up in the middle of the night one night. Mom was a young girl, so it had to be in the very early 20s, like 1920 to 23 time frame. We wake up, she's screaming, and all the kids run into the bedroom and ask her, Mama, what happened? Said Papa just fell overboard, and of course everybody just knows that's a death sentence. So, but somehow he got his foot caught on the net, and we pulled him back in. And there was still a month and a half to go, or 2 months before they were going to head back. And when he got home, my grandfather, Nana said, his name was Salvatore, but he was Nanu to me. That's the only name I had for him all my life. He said, you almost lost me. And Nana says, yeah, I know. And he said, what do you mean? He said, you fell in the water on such and such a date in this area off the coast of Alaska, and you cut your boot on the net, and that's what they were able to drag you back in. And that's enough to freak you out. So I know I have that ability somewhere in my genetic code.
Well, I'll tell you something, Jim. My grandmother, Rose, over in the UK, dead and gone now. She passed away at about 96 years of age. Now, my father, his brother, apparently was in the Merchant Navy during the Second World War.
You join us?
And my grandmother had a dream of my uncle Bill falling overboard in the North Sea. But she said he's okay. I can see him with a red blanket wrapped around him, a dark burgundy red kind of blanket around. And apparently, something like about a week later, my uncle arrived home. What did he have wrapped around his shoulders? The red burgundy blanket.
Yeah, that's freaky.
Yeah, and that was actually documented, believe it or not. So it is freaky. Yes, it is. It's like I knew 24 hours before my mother passed away. Something was wrong.
Electrically, the energy. You can feel her energy dissipating as her.
I spoke to her that day. I said, "Are you okay?" She said, "Yeah, I'm fine." I spoke to my father, my brothers, it was fine. It was that night. I got a call saying, Mum's in hospital. Don't worry, come in after work. And she's all fine. I went in after work and she was sit up in bed, all fine, rosy and cheerful. And then my brother Paul walked in. Hey, I've seen all my boys. Hey, wonderful. And she was talking, smiling and everything. after about 10 minutes, she said, I'm feeling a little bit tired. I might just have a rest. So I sat her in bed. But when she laid back, within less than 15 seconds, I just said to my brother, get the nurse, will you? And he says, why? I said, get the nurse. I said, why? She only just shut her eyes. I said, get the nurse. Nurse, she went and got the nurse. Nurse came in, put a stethoscope to her chest, says, your mother's passed. And my brother looked at me and says, how did you know? You just can't explain it. You just can't. There's no word to explain it. You know. It's like there. I knew 24 hours before. I knew the moment when she shut her eyes, she passed. It's the weirdest thing. And for 3 months, 3 to 4 months after that, wherever I went, I could smell my mum's perfume. If I was in the shopping center, I smell my mum's perfume. I went and have a shower, I'd smell my mum's perfume. Even my wife at the time turned around and says, I ain't smelled your mum's perfume. I said, you too? She said, yes. Then one night I just went to sleep, and I dreamt of my mother, and she was in a cocktail black evening dress, sitting on one of those poofs, the round poofs. And she said, it's sitting like a lady with a glass of wine in her hands, la-di-da sort of thing. And there were 3 men standing around, and I could recognize them. They were my 2 uncles and my grandfather, but they all within their 35-year range. That's what they look like in age. But I could recognize them. I knew who they were. And my mother told a joke. And after she finished, she looked directly at me in the street. And I woke up laughing, and I could not recall the joke. But I woke up laughing. Couldn't smell my mum's perfume from that day on.
Never done.
Yeah, that's true too. That is true. And
I have to take a bathroom break.
Yeah, you want to go and have an undrink, and what they call an undrink?
Yeah. I only rented it, so.
Well, I realized a lot as well as
say, I'll be back.
I realized after a number of recollections of the fact that we are all, at our core, we are chemists. We're actually alchemists because we consume one thing and turn it into something else. And I realized that after a long...
Well, you can't turn water into wine, but you can turn wine into piss, right? Okay.
Dude, I can take barley hops and nice fermented grains and turn that from beer into piss.
Yeah, and if you put it into a plastic bag and put it on a branch and have a tube coming out of it, you can turn it back into fresh water.
Right? I mean, so people don't realize that if they thought about how they actually, navigate through the reality they inhabit and how the physical characteristics manifest themselves. What does reality look like? What is touch, smell, sight, sound, all those things, and all the things that you run into and bump into and go around and pursue? How are all those things? What's their vibration? You're going after those vibes. There's some kind of awareness that happens when you realize that the resonances that you experience in the form of proclivity, being attracted to, having a preference for, having a prejudice towards, having a peccadillo towards, those are resonances that you resonate with. The stuff that you don't, i.e. discordant, are things that you at a minimum don't go and do, and at a maximum make sure that you don't have to ever experience them. So you're in a protective defensive mode, right? But the resonances that we experience are the things that make us who we are. They don't make us, they reveal who we are. Because our essence is resonance. It is something that is based on the frequency stamps that we are, and those cycles and frequencies that make who we are, and how that is with the rest of stuff, the rest of other resonances being who they are. the other frequency stamps that are floating about in the great wave of consciousness that we all seem to share. Because at a minimum, there's two things we know. One, we all have consciousness, and that's how we experience the reality we inhabit, is through this consciousness thing. And second, not only is it individual, but there seems to be a bunch of common stuff, because there's a whole bunch of other individual consciousnesses that are inhabiting this stream, this band of collective resonance, of collective conscious. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing now, right?
True.
So there's that expansion, extension, and resonance of mind that is occurring in order for the reality to be shared and experienced in a relatively similar, if not really accurate way. Because at the end of the day, everything is going to be subjective, and the speculation of your experience is going to be your own interpretation.
And objective.
And being as objective about it as possible is the key to getting the most out of the experience of subjectivity.
Yeah. Well, as you know, I always say, hey,
I had to ask Louis over here because
the more he drinks, the worse it gets. No, I'm just kidding.
I was trying
as I always say, that there's 8 billion people in this planet, and there are 8 billion different realities, because your reality is different to my reality, but yet we are all linked together. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking.
Well, the only difference is the one key characteristic we can all identify with is that your reality is upside down. Ours, on the other hand, is right side up.
Yeah, and when you kick your toe, I'm laughing. I don't feel jack shit, mate. I don't feel nothing.
Just look at the background. I mean, it's
right.
He's in the bottom of the earth.
I feel like I'm about to fall off on my head.
Some people call me the arsehole of the planet. I mean, I don't I don't know about that. You may live in God's country, but we're the lucky ones. But that's
yeah. I mean, there's. Hey, I you know what? I wanted to ask you. I just saw recently where apparently they figured out a way to put a kick into the Australian economy. And they're going to use Taylor Swift and a new tour to go kick off your economy down there. Are y'all just staying at home, or what's going on? How come you need that to stimulate your economy?
Well,
I mean, come on.
Well, mate, we've got too much money.
That's what it is. Okay.
we got too much money. I mean, what it is, I tell you what it is. It's a con, because you can guarantee the politicians want to give themselves a pay rise. So what they will do, they'll give us a little bit of something, right, that they can give themselves a lot.
Well, that's just the way that system works, and that's been the way it is for decades. But so here's the thing. If you're paying any kind of attention whatsoever on any of the main pillars of societal fabric, how things are governed, the social interaction, the media, the inputs, the governance, all of that shit, academics, the schooling, the education, the infrastructure. If there wasn't a time when all of those were in a serious state of broken, together before. No, what I'm saying is it's at its peak. All of those systems are broke.
Absolutely.
None of them can be repaired or fixed. They need to be replaced because they are built.
Reinvented.
Well, and that's the replacements will be from, at a minimum, innovation, and in some cases, inventive, in my opinion. But none of this, everything's broke. Everything is fucking broke. And unless unless that it's that whole thing about you have to have have acceptance before you can make progress, right? Before you can get to a point where you can say, I have acknowledged my inadequacies, my less than optimal performance, my responsibilities, and all those things for this particular thing. But now, since I've taken that responsibility, I can now transform what I was doing before. And that's where the importance of the awareness is. The whole idea of people being able to see reality for what it is, as opposed to what they've been told it is, the great reveal, the great exposure. It's not disclosure, it's exposure. And it's not that there's been brainwashing, there's been a shitload of brain staining, which now requires brainwashing. All of that is afoot right now because everything is broke. And it doesn't matter. You look at anything you want, it's broke.
Mm.
It's not performing in any way that's trending in a positive direction. And that is the magic moment we're in. Because we've never had this many people scattered across the entire fucking planet, all affected by the same issues in different ways, but connected through a system and infrastructure, technology, and all of that is now transforming into you're going to have communication.
We're discussing it. It's like we're discussing it now. We are looking at it. We're pulling it apart. We're dissecting it now.
We're seeing the brokenness and finding the fixedness, or the replaceness is really what it is. Somebody said, asked me on a show recently, they said, well, what's your prediction for 2024? And I said, well, I'm not sure about a prediction, but what I see is a brigade of bulldozers parked outside of all the major metropolises. And they're all just waiting for command to go in and just scrape it off.
And they're not going to tell us anything we don't already know. I can guarantee it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, disclosure happened years ago, just by sheer fact talking about it. But you'll find it's like when they go through Congress and they go through, and the guy will be reading away, and then as he's reading away, he says, "Oh, confidential."
Yeah,
confidential.
I mentioned it earlier, but today a good number of Congress critters had a classified briefing on UFOs. They can take UAPs and shove it where it don't shine. It's a UFO. They were jolly and left. Oh yeah, we're going to see the little green man and whatever. When they came out, and I don't know what the duration is, but I know it's going to be on tape somewhere. When they came out, they had looks of horror on their face. There was not a smile one. I mean, you could tell there was some people that were visibly shaken by what they saw. Tim Burchett of Tennessee, I believe it is, could be Kentucky, but I think it's Tennessee. But Tim Burchett, he's a very proponent of having the American people see what we have on UFOs. If we have them, the Russians have them. If the Russians have them, probably the Chinese. We're the only three major entities of civilizations or groups of people that have the technical expertise to be able to to do that. So,
well, I've actually, I read an article not so long ago. A lot of the secrecies wrapped around the ufology is because I think it's the year 2036. It predicted that Apophis is going to come past, and it's going to be a catastrophe. They saying it's possibly going to hit Earth. Right, so we've actually going to have an extinction level. Henceforth, that's why they've built so many tunnels storing food underground and giant freezer areas and stuff, which has been documented and actually has been filmed. There are films on the internet. It shows you these semis going into mountains and they're driving up to these, what they call refrigeration facilities deep inside a mountain. And we're talking about these 18-wheelers and they're going in lines constantly in and out, in and out, in and out. So, I mean, I can't say it's true, but maybe the UFO activities which we are getting, it's like they're monitoring exactly what's happening and what we're doing. I don't know, but and that's something which nobody's really talking about these days. I mean, Apophis just went past not so long, and it's supposed to be very close to the planet. Where I think it was something like about, was it so many thousands of miles or something? You know, I forget how many.
Well, let me say this about that.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know, but
yeah, I mean, nobody does. It's all speculation because nobody knows. I've been having fun on a couple of physics pages physics groups on Facebook with these diehard materialistic, mechanistic scientists and grit model folks who have just totally won't even entertain the idea that there is something outside of the grit billiard ball model of Newtonian and Einsteinian and all even the quantum mechanics. It's all based on grit. And that's not where the magic is. The magic is in the ether. It's in the frequencies and it's in the waves, all the different wavelengths and the cycles of those waves and the rhythms and the timbres and the amplitude and the cyclical nature of them and all of their interplay and integration and interaction. All of that is what the reality is. Nothing is ever static. It's always in motion, whether we perceive that motion or not.
Yeah.
And so the whole physics thing, there's the big debate about, so the law of conservation of mass, matter and energy means that, states that neither can be created nor destroyed, that it is indeed a constant. Okay. So you base all of that's one of the components of the calculations and the items in your formula that you're using to figure out the number, to figure out what is that, right? So speed of light, gravitational constant, all of that stuff, they can't explain what light is. They can't explain what gravity is, just like they can't explain what consciousness is, because all of those things are outside of the way that they're looking at the data that they're looking for and looking at and for. So we design systems, tests, and experiments to find the answer we're looking for. And in a lot of cases, most cases, they're not even thinking about the question that the data that they're looking for. They're not even thinking properly about the question. So the questioning is a part of the great reveal that's upon us, because people have seen their bullshit meters have gotten all kinds of free filters.
Ding, 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 ding.
Right? You got the angry, the loud, the in your face, the must comply. All of those, if all of those are components of whatever is coming at you, then you know that you need to go the opposite direction. You don't want anything to do with that mix, because it's not based on anything that is clearly going to have at a minimum an optimal return. Boy, these beers, football and beers. You know what I'm talking about? Football and beers.
Football, beer, and broads. Yeah.
That'll
Mate,
work.
I
too.
can't. Look, Jim. I don't have the energy for the Broads, mate, anymore. I just don't have the I just don't have the patience either.
Yeah, I just I paid a heavy price to get where I'm at, but I have an incredibly sweet wife.
Yeah,
and,
mate, I've paid a fortune just for the memories alone.
yeah.
I stick with me memories. It's a far saver. I do have a wonderful wife now. She's gorgeous. She is. She's the boss. She's the boss. I dance to her tune. Hey, and she just looks after me, right? Mate.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All my wives been good looking. Even my son said, "Dad, I don't know how you do it." And I said, "Why's that?" She says, "Mom's really pretty," and says, "Tony's really pretty, even though she's a bitch." And she went on and on and on.
Well, I agree. I agree what Joyce said. Whatever happens, the aliens will reseed Earth. Yep, I believe they will too.
Yeah, what are they going to do with my soul?
Well, you're going to be reincarnated. You're going to come back as a cockroach. No. What are you going to come back?
You mean I'm going to be living in Perth? Okay.
Oh! Well, I'm going to come back as a hooker. Mate, I'm going to come back as a hooker, mate. No. Oh, dude, that's terrible. Oh, I'm naughty.
And again, I didn't think about it. It just came out.
Oh, no, it does.
Yeah, it did. Well, it's because you didn't have to think about it.
No,
it was immediately in your mind that's the way it was going to be. It's going to be.
Only friends can get away with this shit, you know.
Yeah. And yeah, my mind does this all the time. I mean, I've gotten in so much trouble when someone has done something stupid or funny.
Yeah,
and I'll come up with a smart ass remark.
Yeah,
I did it in high school. Well, I did it when I did it, at university.
It's who you are.
Going to school.
You're a smart ass.
I'm a smart ass, and like my TI said in basic training, Goodall, you have everything going for you but your mouth.
Oh, look, all I can say is
here's your sign.
All I can say is, James, is that you've got 5 years on me, so you're a senior smart ass. I'm the underdog here.
Yeah.
I don't have your I don't have your further experience of being a smart ass.
You need to go outside.
Oh, you got your babies, huh? Mine's.
Oh, look at it. Hey.
Yeah, she's right behind me. And she
No, she's fine.
Once Rosemary's asleep, she's had some terrible days the last week or so. Scarlett is always right next to me, no matter where I go. I go into the bathroom. I go into, I said, Scarlett, you don't want to be in here because it's going to be terrible. And that's why I keep, turn the fan on and, close the door. And she's right at, outside the door when I'm done. I go to the, go get a glass of water. And then I go do something. If I'm going to go and just check on Rosemary, and then I'll come back to the office, and she's right there. And then either she's on this side of my desk, all the way under it, or she's right behind my chair. So she feels that it's her duty to keep an eye on me to make sure I'm not abducted by aliens, I guess. I mean, I would. Everybody said, well, Goodall, you're nuts. And I said, well, you're not the first person to tell me that, so that's okay.
Well, speaking of the aliens, I think if I remember correctly, I think it was probably Jim threw a bunch of squirrels in. I might have tossed one or two in, but a while back, BS was asking about the Miami aliens.
At the mall?
At the mall, right?
The Giants?
Yeah.
I'll tell you something about that here in a second.
So we squirreled off somewhere. I know I didn't chime in on that because I do have some thoughts.
Yeah.
And it relates to what B was talking about as far as why there's no press coverage. Where's all the clearly in a mall that size and within a police force that size.
God,
There was a boatload of video, a boatload of audio all over the place. So,
here,
right?
I saw it on the Mexican news channel. They showed pictures of these creatures. It was on the Mexican news channel. They had all the coverage, multiple pictures. I think it was Telemundo or Univision, one of those. But they had it all. But here in the States, you didn't hear anything about it. I don't know if you can look up those news agencies and look up the pictures, but it was just a week ago, I think. But they have actually pictures of them. I saw them on this newscast.
If you can later on give the name of these news outlets from Mexico, give them to Robert, and Robert can post it on to me, or you can send it to me, and I'll do a bit of research and see if I can drag it up.
Yeah, we'll check it out. And the thing is that there appears to be, when you see a lot of activity around something that you can't get enough information on, there's something going on.
Oh, exactly.
You think?
That's what Jim and I were talking about.
If there's a lot of attention on something, but you can't get the information about what is it that everybody's got their attention on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the first place to look.
Yeah.
That's also one of the ways to navigate through all this bullshit.
And where's the news crew?
Is when you're told this person sucks, don't listen to this, stay away from that. This is really bad for you. This will cause some kind of swelling in your perineum with anal linkage as a side effect. When you hear that kind of stuff,
and anal leakage is one of the things they do describe.
Well, let's put this way: if I would have seen a 12-foot or 10-foot bloody tall alien walking towards me, I'll definitely have anal leakage. I'll definitely have anal leakage.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, just give me some male diapers, mate. I mean,
well, that's the thing, is that all of this information flow, the tsunami of noise, is more intense. There's more volume and velocity than there ever has been. So we're all getting, washed over with this constant spew of this kind of narrative.
Yeah,
you have to be able to parry it off.
Again, where's all the media? Where is the media and the television?
That's a part of the fucked upness. Remember when I said everything is broke? The media has been broke for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's so broke now that it's going broke. The transformation from the establishment legacy media model, all of that is going away, been taken over by putzes like those of us on this channel right now. Because people they're looking for authenticity, originality, creativity, insight, and truth, and a respectful exchange of ideas.
Yeah, opinions,
and
mate.
information.
I mean, it's all about opinions. I mean, you got to dissect something. You really got to pull it apart. You got to look at the inner works of it all. And all I see is just nothing but corruption and bullshit just coming out of the ether of it all. It's so bad. It really, it's so bad. You can smell it. As you would say, you can smell the turd on the table, mate. You can see it when it's there. You can smell it.
That's right.
Yeah, that was a picture I didn't want to see, but that's okay.
Yeah, but that's what Robert saying. Robert always brings up the turd, and I just kind of want to make you feel comfortable about it.
And I'm just going to go on record, make sure that it's doesn't go unnoticed, that I have not purposely tossed any turds, nor identified any turds, nor even said, here is a turd tonight.
No,
okay, so
now.
I just want to go on record. I'm cleaning up my act. Okay.
Oh God, that's bullshit. Come on. Come on.
It is.
No, we get all this crap off the pollies, mate, off the politicians. So we don't need it off you. Come on.
Well, you got to admit that when you get washed over with all of this pablum and poison bullshit that are parasites in your mind, when you get that stuff on you, washing it off can not only take a lot of work, but most importantly, it be extremely liberating. All of a sudden, you're like, oh fuck, I can breathe again. Oh, I feel like I can actually have a think again.
Yeah, but so is a good shit. Does the whole same thing.
Well, he's got a point.
Yeah.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I just got a little message here a few moments ago. They're thinking of. I've got this little channel called Australian Truth Seekers.
Uh-huh.
They're thinking of closing it down. It's going against community standards. I don't know why.
Really?
They're probably telling the truth.
So we're getting our tallies whacked for talking truth?
No. What is? I've got a couple of groups. I've got Australian Truth Seekers, and I've got the Beehive. Right now, the Beehive's good, right? But the Australian Truth Seekers, it generates itself. You know what I mean? I do have a look at it, make sure there's no bad content like pornography and all that stuff. And they do try to put it on the Beehive too. But I kind of check it and have a good look there. Nah, go away, So Beehive's pretty good, but sometimes I don't know if I miss anything in Australian Truth Seekers. Yeah, but they're talking about banning it. Okay, so they can do that. I don't care. I'm here. I'm doing my thing.
I told you should keep that other shit you showed me off the tube. So, if you let it get out there, you got caught. That's it's on you, buddy.
Hey, I've still got my Facebook channel and I still got Beehive and I still got my YouTube and everything. So and Twitter, don't call it Twitter anymore, did they? They call it X. Yeah, X, the X factor.
So this Miami thing, I think here's what I think happened. On the extreme side, it was a portal test or a portal breach
or a mistake.
Yes, we actually covered,
which in both cases were a mistake, or
Jim and I already covered this earlier on, where there's an S and an M on the coordinates got mixed up. One was for Antarctica, and one would have led you right to Miami.
There's a lot of very interesting information that seems to be leaning in that direction. It wasn't necessarily alien as much as it was our own stuff went through as by mistake.
Yeah, it didn't really look alien.
Showed up in the wrong place.
Exactly.
And do you think this could be part? Could it also be part of the gearing up for the fake alien invasion?
Yeah, it might be used for that, but this kind of reminds me of Andrew Bassaggio's Project Pegasus, where they transported and didn't always end up where they thought they were, where they were supposed to. And that's one of the reasons that Bassaggio has the tie to the Gettysburg Address, which is a famous woo-woo target for those who don't know about it. But the ability to move between frequencies, which are frequency stamps of time and manifestation, when that happens, it creates its own unique signature because it's unique at that moment. And then that moment continues to move, but that moment is established. It is a stamp in time. So when that happens, you then have this ability to recognize the stamps. And if you think of one of the best examples of time travel is thinking of a song that you grew up with.
Oh, yes.
Take you back.
I can tell where I was at. I'm almost 79. I can think back hearing what something what's that doggy in the window, or however it started. And
How much is that doggy in the window?
Yeah.
Woof, woof.
The one with the waggly tail.
Yeah. I can remember when oh crap, I can't remember her name.
Too many of them. Too many of them, Jim.
I mean, if I hear it, I can
figure where the fuck they are.
Yeah.
This is like us. See, I told you you'd like these guys. You go.
This is what I had at your house. This is what I had, Robert. This is what I had at your house. No. You hear that? This is what I get at your. I had this at your house.
Oh, is that the Lazar 115?
No, but it was something that's almost as good. Yeah. I'm gonna go spend a couple of days with him in May. It could be fun.
Where are you going in May?
I mean, unless it's still snowing.
He's going to see Bob Lazar.
I'm gonna go spend.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah, and he's officially retired now from United Nuclear. And a guy who's worked for him for 10 years, he said he knows as much about it as I do. So he turned it over to him.
How long is he on this contract with this media group, Jim?
I think it's through the life of this supposedly incredible documentary that's being produced.
All right. Okay. Once it's produced, he's free of the contract after that, is he?
Yeah, I believe so. I personally asked him, to his face, sitting next to his wife. We're out there just watching the dogs run around, and their favorite thing to do before they go to bed is chase a laser out in the yard. He has 10 acres. 3 dogs or 4 dogs, 3 horses, an absolutely sweetheart of a wife. She's beautiful. She is beautiful on the inside as she is on the outside, and she's gracious and kind. And people who aren't around Bob when he's just Bob, he's a very quiet guy.
God, you wouldn't put it up with us, would he?
Yeah. Oh no, he could stand around, but under his terms. But I physically asked him. So I'm on quite a few podcasts because these are people I enjoy chatting with, and it's just fun. It's 21st century socializing.
When you got people like that on the show, you don't need to ask them questions because I think everybody knows their story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's better just knowing the person, knowing what they like and don't like. You know what I mean? And listening to their sense of humor and their what they call corroboratory type thing, like saying, "Oh, yeah, that's bullshit. That's bullshit." Speak their mind about something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. I mean, it's not about, look, I wouldn't, I mean, it's like, for example, we know your story. We don't have to brainwash you. Why it's this and what's that? You know what I mean? I think everybody that knows you, Jim, they know your story, really, I mean, but it's good to listen to your sense of humor and
well,
you being the person who you are. And this is what makes this, I call this, as Robert would say, the three amigos, the what do you call it? The extraordinary, this extraordinary league of gentlemen going on here.
The three musketeers.
Right. That's what makes us unique as friends, because we can call each other names. We can have a personal opinion about stuff, but we don't get offended.
That's what friends are for. You. I mean, you can call you call someone a piece of, you look like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And,
That's
and you'll turn around and we'll say, well, fuck you too, and just laughing, just keep on doing what you're doing.
Pull your head out of your ass. That's what I would say. You call me.
Yeah.
Pull your head out of your ass. You might see clearer.
Well, you gentlemen, I have to acknowledge and appreciate and give gratitude to your perceptions of this League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, right? But also to acknowledge and appreciate that I am basically a target-rich environment. As I come in and throw something onto the table,
there we go.
The next thing I know, there's a whole bunch of
what
the fuck
on the table,
hey
Robert?
you, and slapping it around, and I feel like I'm here for your entertainment, but also your instruction so that you can improve on your skill sets to come in and whack about me about. So I feel like I owe you guys. Thank you.
What the hell was he talking about?
He's bringing out our best. That's what he's actually saying. Put it in short words. Because Robert, he likes to elaborate. If it wasn't for Robert, we wouldn't be talking about putting the turd on the table. He's bringing out our best. You know what I mean? He's bringing out our sarcasm. He's bringing out our.
Right. I mean, I look forward for Robert coming down here and spending a day or two. We'll go up to, I'll take you up to Kit Peak, because it's open now. So
nice.
I can take you up to the 4-meter Mail telescope.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. So, and we'll have to have a cutoff of so many hours of conversation.
And we'll have to have somebody ring a bell and say, all right, go to your corners.
Yeah.
Go rest it up, get some water, get towel down. So yeah, I think, one of the things that, at least for me, makes it worth turning it on and popping it in.
Yeah, I've used that term before, but not in this environment.
I'll be careful who you say that around.
As soon as it came out, I was going, did that sound like it did?
Sounds like somebody just slipped something in.
It's like shit.
I like Mother Superior in Blues Brothers. And you have a dirty mind. Beats the hell out of him with the ruler.
So I was going somewhere with that, and it had something to do with, I think, whatever B was talking about, that Jim was laughing about, and that you and I were trying to figure out what the hell are they talking about.
We're not sure.
I have no idea. We didn't have the beers, did we? I didn't.
Well, that's a funny thing too, is that both Louie and I stopped drinking a while back.
We did, and
just said, no, not doing the beers and the usual stuff. And Louie and I would grill steaks, and he's a musician, plays music bass, and we jammed and did some stuff. So
we must get together sometime soon. We'll go.
Yeah,
live,
the only problem is that when you start playing, you start drinking.
You're
trying to not to drink.
Well, no, I play better when I've had a few drinks. I'll go and get some Jack Daniels. Hey, it brings out the mood. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. Absolutely. I play better when I drink.
The drunkest.
I know. I've seen it. I've seen him play much better.
Well,
when we got to rehearsal, he hadn't had a beer yet. By the second or third beer, we were only on the second song, and man, did it sound better.
Oh man,
it does it?
That is so true,
right?
Yeah, that's true.
It's spiritual honesty. How you going? But actually, when I do advertise my show, I should really put X-rated up, not suitable for children.
Well, no.
Don't you think?
Talk about this is children. This is my daughter. My daughter's adopted. She's Korean. We got her when she was 5 months old. I think she's an alien. Literally, I think she's from a different planet because she doesn't think or process anything like anybody I know. We didn't realize until she was about 8 months old that she needed Coke bottle glasses. Very common with Asians. And she's Korean, 100% Korean. And so never knew. I wasn't sure yet how she was going to be. And she's about 2 years old, and we have some friends over for dinner. And she's a little pint, pint. She's bottom 5% of her height and weight. And Patty Moleon said something, and I said, "No bullshit." Alicia gets out of her chair, comes over to me, and looks at me and said, "Dad, you can't say bullshit." And I said, "Alicia, you can't say that." And she looks me in the eye and she goes, "Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit."
That's good.
2 years old. 2 years old. I said, "Oh,
Yeah.
she's
As you know, my wife Mary, she's Asian. She's from the Philippines. And I
yeah."
remember the first time I said bullshit, she didn't speak to me for 2 weeks. She took it personally. You know, I was talking about. She was telling me something. I said, "Bullshit, really?" She said, "You say bullshit to me." I said,
But
not at you, but the story.
But I told her, I said, "Alicia, you can't say that." And that's when she said, "Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit." And I said, "I tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. I won't say it again if you don't." She said, "Okay."
Anyway, it's
And she
Mary's
never did. She
favorite
never
word.
has.
Yeah, it's Mary's favorite word with me now. And I say something, she says, "Oh, bullshit."
Well, I've got one down that path that happened to a friend of mine over 20 years ago, and he was one of the musicians on my label, and he had a son with a granddaughter. So his granddaughter would typically come over on Sunday mornings and stay with grandma and grandpa and stay the night and, get up and just kind of hang out and do the grandma and grandpa thing. So one particular Sunday, it was kid on ground on the floor, had it some kind of like Lego thing or some kind of thing he was trying to put together, and it couldn't get it to fit in. And mom and grandpa are sitting on the couch, and Harold's reading the paper, mom's reading a book or something, and all of a sudden they hear crash. Fuck it.
Okay. Well, I got another one.
And this is a 3-year-old, right?
Yeah.
And so Harold and Carol looked at each other and said, "Was it you? No. Wasn't me. Was it you? No." But there's something that came from somewhere else. Yeah. So just that complete shock of 3-year-old going, fuck it.
Got it from someplace.
And it was appropriately learned.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Picture this. My third grandson is just home from the hospital being born. And Terry's changing a diaper, and 2-year-old Warren is looking over her shoulder, and he sees this crusted thing on her belly button. The umbilical cord hasn't all fallen off yet. And he looked down there and he just says, "Oh, fuck." And he was 2. And Terry about dropped the baby. My son about fell down the stairs. Oh, God. Where did he heard that? Oh, what does my son do? Oh, he's a carpenter. He's in construction.
Oh, that's good.
Kids like that just have a warm spot in my heart. They say the damnedest things. And about, maybe about a month later, I'm having, it's Saturday morning. I'm reading the paper. This is before the internet.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Reading the paper. She's at the other end of the kitchen table. It's a pretty good sized kitchen table. And I got up to get some coffee, and I set my paper down, and it just touched the corner of one of her sheets of art that she was working on. And I'm walking across through the kitchen to get the coffee maker, and I hear my newspaper getting thrown on the floor. So I came back and said, "Alicia, you got to pick that up." And she crosses her arm. Now, like I say, she's tiny. She crosses her arm. She said, I'm not going to, and you can't make me. So very gently, I got her hands. I put my hands around her wrist. We bent down. I picked it up. I just all crumpled up, put it on the table, and then I let go of her, and I said, "There, you did it." And she looked at me and says, "Yes, but not willingly. This is two." That's when I think my daughter's an alien.
Some serious trouble right there.
I love her to pieces. She's
It's like, oh,
she's
you're gonna have to parry on this one a little differently.
Yeah, she's from a different planet, but we were talking about aliens, weren't we? Yeah.
I'll tell you a story about that.
Okay.
Yes. Come on.
And you can look it up online. Have you ever heard of the Aztec alien crash site in Aztec, New Mexico?
No.
Look, you can look it up. It's online. Yeah. Okay. I grew up in Aztec.
Oh.
So I went to high school there. I graduated there. And in high school, we had always heard about this alien crash site. We didn't really know where it was because it was way up in the hills. But we used to kind of go out and try to find it, and would party where we thought it was, and blah, blah, blah. But as time went on, they eventually found the actual site of it. And today there's actually a plaque there. And I've been wanting to take Robert there. We started to go here about a month ago, but I don't know what happened. We got
the weather's too shitty, probably.
It's what?
The weather is too shitty.
You know, and right now it is. We have too much snow. But I'm going to take him up there here when the weather clears up. But there's actually an alien crash site that happened in 1947, and it's well documented. They found 16 aliens that died, and like the spaceship was just absolutely huge, and it landed on the mesa way up high. So you have to climb up, and it's not easy to get to, but I know where it's at now. And so I've actually been up there a couple of times, but it's really, really interesting to contemplate what happened there. And the story goes that the military came in to clean up the crash site. And way back in 1947, in order to do it, the spaceship was so large, I think it was like 100 feet in diameter or something like that, that they had to build a concrete slab to put like a crane on in order to pick up this spacecraft and so on. So that slab is actually still there. But it's interesting because now it's well documented, and a lot of people say it's a hoax, but there's a big plaque up there that actually describes exactly when it happened, how it happened, how many aliens died, and what they did with the remains. And I think they took them back east to some big military base. I can't remember the details.
Right, Patterson.
It could have been, yeah. But all this is documented, like I said. And I'm going to take Robert there as soon as the weather clears up. Now that I can actually find it, and now that they've actually put a big plaque there that that shows where it's actually at. But
that would be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Very interesting. Look it up. It's Aztec, New Mexico. Alien crash site.
And that's actually about 15 miles from here?
Yeah, it's really close. Like I said, when we were in high school, we used to go up there and party all the time. I mean, I don't think we really knew where it was really at, because at that time it wasn't well documented. Mm-hmm. They didn't have a big plaque out there or anything. So, but we'd go up there and party where we thought it was. But now we actually know where it really is.
Do they get a lot of people going up there to actually look at the site? There's a lot of people.
Not too many. It's really difficult to find.
Right. Okay. That's why they didn't care putting a plaque there. You made it here, well, you deserve to know.
Yeah, it's hard to find, and you got to hike. It's up on top of a really high mesa, and there's a big cliff off to the side of it, and you have to hike. Once you get up close to it, you park your car up above, and then you got to hike down to it.
Right.
And every time I go, it takes me a little while to remember where it's at. But I was up there this summer, and I figured it out. So now I can get to it pretty easy. But I'm going to take Robert there. Maybe he can take some pictures and share it with y'all.
That'd be good.
That'd be fun.
Good.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and it was all hidden, all kind of, pushed away, and it was actually. I'm sorry.
Same year as Roswell, wasn't it? Same year as Roswell, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think Roswell was about the same time. However, I think Roswell was probably better documented than the one in Aztec.
Well, apparently,
probably because of the location.
Yeah.
Look, I beg to differ there because documented, not for us. They keep telling us it's a weather balloon, but
yeah.
But even this bullshit, Luis Elizondo and Grush and all that. They keep saying, "Oh yeah," they acknowledged Roswell.
Yeah.
When they spoke about the 1933, they said, "Oh, there was one before that in 1933 in northern Italy."
Oh wow!
During the Mussolini regime, just before the really outbreak of the Second World War, and of course they reckon that's where the Nazi bell came from. That crash UFO, where they because they were allies to the Nazis, and of course the Nazis took it over and done the scientific work. And of course, once the Second World War finished, Paperclip came along and took all the bloody scientists that was actually originally working on it, weren't they? So that's one of the main reasons, so they say. But yes, apparently there's supposed to be crude radar that's supposed to put all these UFOs down.
And in a Lockheed ad back in the 70s, Ben Rich is standing in front of I think a P-80 or an F-104. And the advertisement said, we're looking towards space. It said, if you can imagine it, we've already done it. And that's and then at UCLA in was it 96, just before he passed away, he told his audience, and it was prepared text. He said, "We have the ability to take ET home." Think about that statement. I mean, and then I talked to Ben off and on over 20 years, and he was the president of the Skunk Works. Most of the time I was talking to him. And just before he died, he had esophageal cancer. And I called him up. He was at USC Medical Center. And we were talking about old friends and a bunch of other stuff. And then he says, "Jim, we have things out in the desert." And he wasn't referring to Area 51. He said, "We have things out in the desert that is 50 years beyond what you can comprehend." Now, this is a man who had access and knowledge to all the secrets, at least in the aviation-related world. Gave us the U-2 spy plane, gave us the first operational jet fighter, the P-80, gave us the missile with the man in it, F-104, on and on and on, and gave you the U-2 spy plane. And the crown jewel, of course, is the Blackbirds, from the A-12 to the SR-71. That's my area of expertise. And then, we go into more Skunk Works is the F-22 and then the F-35. I always wonder what is in between 22 and 35. I'd like to know. Maybe someday they'll tell us. But
at least tell us what math you're using to get to make those.
Right.
Yeah. How are you designing the numbers there?
Yeah. They used to call them F-103s or F-109s or F-115s.
I got to tell you, the F-104 Starfighter and the P-51 Mustang were my two favorite planes growing up. That F-104 Starfighter looked, it was right out of Star Wars.
It still is. You look at it today,
right?
It's still a beautiful, sleek.
Oh.
It's a Mach 2 airplane.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of Kelly's wonders. And then based on the success of the F-104, that gave birth to the U-2 spy plane, which is still flying today. So,
well, what do you think about this chatter on Starlink and T-Mobile and internet access through Starlink for your phone?
I heard rumblings about it, but I may have heard it from you.
Yeah, I first heard about it. It was about a year ago.
I think we may have talked about it when I was at your house.
That's the first I heard about it.
T-Mobile apparently has made a deal with Starlink, and that's what I heard. It was about a year ago, I think. Now they've announced that you can use the Starlink network for your T-Mobile phones. It's like, well, if the bandwidth, it's all about the bandwidth between the performance between either the microwave satellite link or the local 5G, 6G signal that you get. So you can pick up data from either one. So if the switch is to, well, I'm going to get it from the access from Starlink across the internet, I'll just use that on my phone. And all the content that I produce and consume through that same link, because that's what the internet is.
Well, that'd be okay if you're working remotely and like away from city areas and away from towers,
Which I'm hoping, I think hoping from the standpoint that the sooner people get out of the clusters, the less they will be fucked. And you can quote me on that.
Yeah. Are you an anti-cluster fucker?
I am an anti-cluster fucker.
Yeah,
I'm definitely in that camp.
I mean, I like to live off the grid, but I still like to have certain things that be in touch with what.
Well, you want to have access to the stuff that really matters to you.
Yeah.
But you want to, but more importantly, and that's important, but more importantly, you want to have less access to the shit you don't want. In other words, you want to remove yourself from where that construct of chaos and confusion and crapopoly is going on.
Yeah, it's exactly like I don't watch network TV anymore. I just don't. Or news. I read what I want to read. And if I read something on the internet, if it resonates with me, I'll read the rest of it. If it doesn't resonate, I'll just move on to the next.
I'll read it. I'll read it in 3 or 4 different places, and somewhere in the middle is the truth, or the closest to the truth you're going to get. Years ago, when I first moved to Seattle in '68, I read 2 papers. I read the PI in the morning, and I read Seattle Times in the evening when I got back to my place. PI was a very, very conservative. Seattle Times was and still is a very liberal publication. And I read them both, and I know somewhere in the middle may be the truth. And today now, I don't any print media such as the New York Times or whatever
TV's going on.
I think it is.
I don't listen to it. I don't listen. The only part of the local news I listen to is the weather forecast. I've always been fascinated with that. So
Jim, what does that say about why you come here? Do you come here for the analytical prognostication of potentialities and woo and all of the possibilities therein? Is that why you come here?
Absolutely. Now, I so thoroughly enjoy my evenings with you guys. and the guests, and unfortunately, the ladies didn't show up tonight.
No, they did not. Did not.
And,
oh well, you know what women are like, you know.
And because that's always fun, and they're you know, I think they're as crazy as we are.
Oh, equally.
Yeah, and I feel incredibly comfortable in this group. Yeah, I'm not a joiner. I've been a loner most of my life. Most of the jobs I had, I worked out of my apartment or my condo or my house. Very rarely did I have a physical place I went to. Corporate was in Chicago or in New York or in Paris or in Geneva, Switzerland area. So I spend a lot of time by myself. I'm fine with it. I just went on when I went to Roberts in August, it was the end of a 5,260 mile road trip over a course of a little bit less than 3 weeks. And for that mileage, I averaged 67.4 miles an hour. But my car will go fast, very fast. So it'll go faster than I'm willing to hit it. Yeah, because I'm concerned about an armadillo or a dog or a coyote. It would vaporize the front of the car.
Is that your midlife crisis toy, Jim?
No, I gave my Harley to my best friend.
Oh, that was your midlife crisis one, was it?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, but when I laid it down coming back from Sturgis at 70 miles an hour and on
that hurt.
On US 6070 coming out of Fiona, Texas, heading to Clovis. I was coming back from I had a 05 Road King Classic with Screaming Eagle motor and fully loaded, but I'm also know how to secure stuff. The whole back of my motorcycle, including the back seat, was filled. I'd been on the road for 3 weeks. And all of a sudden, I hit standing water and the bike started going like this. And I knew I was going to be gone, but I had all my leathers, my helmet, gloves, boots, the whole bit. And just before I blacked, I don't remember anything but a brief thing in the middle, but just before I knew I was going to be removed from the motorcycle, my only thought was, well, shit, I didn't want to go this way. I wasn't afraid of dying, but it's not how I wanted to go.
I can relate. I can relate to you, Jim. I remember. I mean, I had a Kawasaki 1100 many years ago when I was in the UK, and the early Kawasaki's had a terrible steering damper. I mean, you just could not control the bike once you're going around a bend. Sometimes it just locks up on you. Yeah. And I remember I was. This is when I was in the UK, and I was going around this country bend on a road, and it had black ice, what they call black ice, and of course, the wheels literally slipped from underneath me. But I was still on the bike, but the wheels hit the gutter. And as soon as they hit the gutter, I literally turned on the accelerator, hit the accelerator, and I literally rode this gutter around an airpin corner. And don't ask me how far. I can't recall how fast. I know I was going fast. And all I know is that I must have taken off about 1.5 inches off my foot stand, my footrest, just wore it. Yeah, like a file, just sheared it off, just wore it off. Yeah, that was very scary experience. Yeah. And the second one, I had a little arrow.
I hadn't finished mine yet.
Oh, sorry, mate. Okay,
yeah, sure.
See how these old farts? I mean, nobody's paying attention, but they are.
Yeah. We hear each other. Hey, and fuck you too.
Halfway through, I'm like this. My legs are crossed, and I knew I was going down the road, and I'm right next to my bike. The bike went this way. I went that way. And the next thing I know, I'm stopped. I'm still right next to my bike. And I'm laying there and I said, oh God, I hope my feet are where they're supposed to be. So I wiggled my toes and I could feel them wiggle, and I lift one foot up. That was fine. I raised the other foot, and I'm still laying flat back. People are, running towards me. I go like this. That works. I don't feel any pain, and
you wouldn't if your back was broken.
And it's raining to beat hell again, and I have an area road burn.
Ooh,
this big. That is it. I was doing 70 miles an hour. Damn, I think God looked down and he said, I'm going to fuck with you, but I'm not going to kill you. But I lost. I was never 100% anymore. I was only.
You're still not, Jim.
That's riding a motorcycle. I don't think about it. The other part, I don't give a shit. I mean, I'm not going to be sitting there and then fall over like I'm laughing.
I know. What's the first words that come out of your mouth? How was me motorbike?
When I
got up. When you got up on your feet and you think, how was me motorbike? The first thing I asked.
But as I'm laying there, I realize, hey, I'm okay. I believe nothing hurts. Everything. And then as I'm laying there, I said, oh, shit, I hope there was an 18-wheeler with 80,000 pounds of hogs right behind me because I'm screwed. Oh. And I just got up, walked to the shoulder. My motorcycle's still right there in the middle. It was a 4-lane divided. I look out and people coming towards me, you okay? I said, yeah. And so we got in some guy named Eddie said, hey, you can sit in my pickup truck. We've called 911. The cops are coming, ambulances coming. Because not only when I hit the water, 3 cars or 4 cars behind me hit it. They lost control. There was severe injuries. And then a semi heading eastbound on US 60/70. They're still.
That was your fault, Jim.
Still in the panhandle.
That was your fault, Jim. They saw you go. They put on the brake on the border, and they crashed.
Yeah. So when the paramedics came, they said, "Do you want to go to the hospital?" I said, "Oh no." He said, "How fast were you going?" And he said, 70. He said, you should be underneath the sheet over there, pointing to the middle of the road. And I said, "Yeah, I know." But it was amazing. After we lifted my Harley up, brought it to the side, put the windscreen on it. I said, "Okay, this is a $64,000 question. Will it start?" Half a crank. Off I went. And the road split at Clovis. And I was going to go to spend the night at Roswell. But I kept on going. And I got to Fort Stockton, I think it is. Middle of fucking nowhere. And I was thinking, I can get 100 miles on a tank of gas. And from there to Roswell, the town I needed to spend the night in, was right at 100 miles. Yeah, and it's New Mexico Highway 20, I think it is. Someone said when I told them what road I went down, that's the most desolate road in New Mexico. No one drives it. It's part of the bombing range out there.
Yeah,
and if I had to hit an armadillo or hit anything, I didn't pass a car going or coming for 100 miles.
Gosh.
And then I could start seeing the lights of Roswell, and I pulled in. I went right into the La Quinta, and I said, "Can I leave my motorcycle right there?" I told her what happened, so they gave me 50% off. It's about 11 o'clock at night. Got up next morning, drove 700 miles home.
Dang.
Yeah, but. And it was $7,200 worth of cosmetic damage to the car. There's nothing structural.
Yeah.
Except.
Wait a minute! I thought you were on a motorcycle.
I was.
How did you go? I missed how you went from motorcycle to car.
Yeah.
How did that transition?
After I laid the motorcycle down, I got it fixed. This was 2013, August 13, 2013, and I'm riding. I went on a road trip with a buddy of mine, Stu Brown from Popular Science, and then his buddy, and then we met up with Chief of Police Roger Hill. And we all rode our Harleys through the Sierras and down in. We went to stayed in Santa Cruz and went down. Just had a great time. But I was not 100%. I was 98%, but I wasn't 100%. And I'm deaf in one ear, so I don't have directional hearing. So I started thinking about it. Said, I've had more than 9 lives. I have maybe 25 or 30. I think I'm just gonna park the bike. I did that in 2015 or mid 2014, all the way through 2015. And I
So
told
park it, meaning you just decided to get on it when it wasn't a good time to get on
I
it.
put it in the garage.
Okay.
I had the battery tender on it, and every once in a while I'd zip around the block just to go around the block and run the oil through the engine. And my best friend doesn't have a pot to pee in or the window to throw it out of. He wanted to buy my Harley, and I know he'd pay me, but he wouldn't have any money to do anything with it. Maybe just look at it. So I leased it to him for $1. So I went up there. I told my wife I want to get a Corvette. I want to get a Grand Sport C6 Corvette, and I found one. And I said, she said, if you can figure a way to pay for it, not take anything out of the household funds, go for it. So I found this is December 2016. I found a 2010 Grand Sport with absolutely every option made. 21,727 miles.
Ooh.
And I bought it, and I got a good deal on it. It was like 31,000 with everything they threw on it. And the money that I netted from my job in Hawaii was about $31,000.
Nice.
So, but I love it. I went and had air put in the tires this morning because it gets cold here briefly, but then it heats up a lot. So I went to Discount Tire and they check my air, and so how many miles on there? I said 102,650 miles, and I put that on since January 1st, 2017. But I drove it up to Seattle to go on a road trip, my first road trip in it. And I had my buddy said, yeah, we'll bring you down and we'll fly you back. We got down and we got all the way down to here in Arizona. And he says, I said, you want to take the Harley out and give it a spin? He said, oh yeah, I'd love to. And he did it. And he says, thanks. He says, you wanted to buy it and I'm not going to sell it to you. And his face just, melted. I said, I'm going to lease it to you for $1. And I did. And he ended, face would have it, someone rear-ended him, in a left-hand turn. So, it was all cosmetic. But I got twice as much. They totaled it. They gave it twice as much than I could have sold it before the accident. So
there's nothing wrong with that.
So I took the hook, legally, and gave it to my buddy Rick. He fixed it all up. He now has a clear title. It was a salvage, repaired, and certified roadworthy.
Excellent.
Yeah, that was why I have a Corvette today, and I love my Corvette.
I would love it too, mate. I only driving around. My car's a 2013 Holden Captiva. That's General Motors. It's an SUV. I've only done 72,000 Ks on it, kilometers.
It's not very many.
In something like 11 years.
Yeah.
You know, I can't wait till this whole metric system gets replaced by the Imperial, what it should be. I mean, all you folks doing this metric stuff is just confusing to the rest of us. Am I right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
How many Brits have man on the moon?
Yeah, I mean, where is the shit that metrics have brought to the table?
Well,
even the technology is.
I have dry mouth.
I tell you the shit it has done, Robert. The shit it has done. When I was going to school, I had to not just learn the Imperial, I had to learn the metric as well. So I had double the studies, and it was. If you know how confusing that was for me. I mean, being a young fella. 1966 decimal currency came in. We changed straight over to metric.
Well, fortunately, when I was growing up, everything that when technology was being made, just saying, when technology was being created that we're using today, I'm just saying, when we were there doing that, it wasn't metric. It was 1 through 10, 1 through 12 inches, and we didn't have nanometers.
Yeah, 1/8 of an inch. Yeah, right. Well, look, mate. I still. When I get a tape measure out, I'm still looking at the inches. I'm not looking at the metric at all. I don't look at the metric. I mean, because the new tapes we have today have metric and an imperial on it, on the actual tape. I'll always look at the imperial.
Well, see, that's the thing is that the imperial is trying to take over, or the metrics trying to take over, and the imperial has said, not happening here. We'll allow you to get on our labeling, but if you look at, the the measurement of, the weight on chips and shit, it'll start with ounces and then have the milliliters, right?
Yeah. Well, look, like with metric, it goes in multiples of tens, if it screws you up, mate. It really does. It really does screw you up.
Well, try owning an automotive shop and having to buy SAE wrenches and metric wrenches and sockets and blah blah blah.
Oh God,
goes and goes and goes.
I was in charge of the restoration of the only de Havilland Comet, the first jet airliner ever built and gone operational, up at Payne Field in Everett, Washington. It had been abandoned at Payne Field. The fire department had used it for fire training. It'd flown in there, and for 7 years, the chief would go in there throwing smoke grenades. They would come in and hose it down like it's on fire. Then they sealed it up with between 2,500 and 3,000 gallons of water inside the airplane. Gosh. And all the cast pieces are magnesium. That's a shit metal, no matter how you look at it. It's lightweight, but it's like made of crumbly clay. So then it was sealed up for an entire decade. And then the Museum of Flight took ownership of it. When they went to open up the crew door up near the cockpit, there was green slime growing down from the ceiling. I mean, it was an alien environment. So they drilled all sorts. They drilled 1-inch holes along the bottom, and water just poured out. It was slimy. They went there and high pressure water washed everything. Try to get most of the slime off. And that was about 2 years before I saw it for the first time. And when I first saw it, my first thought was, what the hell did I get myself into? and my second thought was, I need 10 gallons of gas and a match. You have a component this big, okay? You have US, you have metric, and you have Wentworth. So you have 3 types of wrenches that you need to take this goddamn British-built whatever apart. I mean, and then the tech orders for putting stuff together I'm used to reading an Air Force tech order, and you start from one end of the airplane, usually the nose, and work your way back, and it's fuselage station numbers and wing numbers and other stuff. But everything is chronological from the nose to the tail. It's all in the British stuff. You're looking at something. This is the wing box, and next thing you know, it's the nose landing gear. But the team is the right. It's in the right order, but it's just it's British. That's about the best way I can put it. It's British.
It's like getting something that's made in Australia up here. The first thing you got to do is when you open up. First thing you got to do is turn the instruction manual upside down, so you can read it, and then you got to parse through all this Aussie, all these nuances in their language and their accents and all of the umlauts. Do they have umlauts?
Yeah, like we say,
somebody else, but all that shit, and then you try to decipher not only what they said, but what the hell they meant.
Hey, it's like you look at the manual. When you look at the manual, it says get a Duvalaki and get the thingamajig, and we get that and put it together with the other.
The whatchamacallit.
Exactly. Right. I mean, you got it. Now, if you can get through that, you're speaking Aussie, mate. I mean, my name is Terence. People call me Terry. You know what they call me in Australia on average?
Asshole.
No, besides that, Tezza. Where the frig did it get Tezza from?
Tezza.
Yeah, Tezza. You go if it's Barry Bazza. Yeah, we abbreviate things very short. It's like Christmas would be called Chrissy.
Well, we've got our own peculiarities. I mean, how do you get Dick from Richard?
Well, it is. That's exactly right. I mean, Richard.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, but that's.
I mean, it's the same thing with. I mean, I can get a little bit of the Rob to Robert,
to Bob,
but Bobby, that's pushing it out a little bit.
Pushing it,
I do like the French version in Robert, which is kind of how I feel about myself when I'm with myself. Yeah, makes sound like I don't know what that was, but you can keep it.
I can see Robert there in this grand hall at a giant dining table with a glass of champagne in his hand, with a posh voice, putting out his glass, saying, "Waiter." Robert, I mean, you're a linguist, mate.
Really? I mean,
you keep telling me you're a linguist. Now, why are you a linguist then? That's what I like to know.
Well, I'm an aspiring cunning linguist in several forms. I think I speak, it's at least 4, maybe 5 different languages.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And what languages are they?
Poor English.
Yeah. Is it one's called cursing and the other one's
English? Good English.
And
smart ass English. And asshole English. So I'm very fluent in all of them.
That's an
and I can, whenever on call, I can drop it.
You can bring it up.
I can bring it.
I love it. Yeah. That's why we're friends, isn't that right, Jim?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's right.
Pretty. I look forward to this. This is to me a fun evening. I mean, it's just I'm talking to people that we've talked about before that for some odd reason we really connect, and it's fun. I mean, it's something I get a lot of joy out of, and I thoroughly do. From my heart and my soul, enjoy you guys. I really do.
I've actually had an open house tonight. I've actually put the link there. Nobody. I think people are scared to come and join us. Did you know that? I think
What
people-
would they be scared of?
I don't know.
I
But
mean,
they won't come in.
three very and a fourth guest tonight. Very harmless,
Hey, when you
gentle.
go, also to Robert, can you please
Yeah.
pass my email address on to him? Right. So when he's at home, I can send him a link. He can come and join us when he's not at your place.
I will do that. But I mean, think about it. Who would be, and we've had a few brave souls, but who would feel any kind of intimidation or at a minimum something other than love and acceptance and congeniality and empathy and a sense of allowing one to be one with the rest of the ones?
To be who you are, what
Right?
you want to be, and what you want to aspire to be. Exactly. Anyway, do you realize we've only been on for 3.5 hours? We'll continue while it's fun.
Almost 3.5.
Almost 3.5 hours.
Not my fault.
No.
Yes, no.
I came in halfway through.
We were done. There's, fuck that guy. If he doesn't want to show, we'll just end tonight.
We're just going to go in and do it.
And then we have the bad luck of having you. Oh, you're actually trying to get on. Well, shit. I gotta cancel I gotta cancel all my plans.
Squirrel.
I've got a funny feeling the girls that were supposed to come on tonight, they probably thought, no, those guys, I know what those guys are like. No.
Oh no, they would add a tremendous amount of flavor to the conversation.
Well, actually, I think they've had family commitments tonight. Apparently, all turned out the family commitments. Mind you, it is a Saturday night where you guys are, so it's only Sunday here for me. So it's fun. Well, carry on. And so who's an auto mechanic around here?
Your what hurts?
Who's a mechanic around here? A mechanic.
Mechanic?
I've owned an automotive shop for 40 plus years.
He's kept me on the road for the last 3.
Yeah. I just decided to close now, January 1st. So
yeah. Oh, you're retired now or what?
I'm sorry.
You retired now?
Not yet, but I'm really thinking about it. Yeah.
Yep.
He never really, Robert never had a real job for the last 30 years.
Yeah, you're right. We were just talking about that today.
But my last job when I decided to retire, I was the curator at the Pacific Aviation Museum in Pearl Harbor, and I retired in May of 2013. So I've been without a job, somebody anchoring me down at 8 to 5, whatever it is, for 10 years, and it's wonderful. I mean, that's why I put all the mileage on my both on my Road King, and then when I lost my nerve in my Corvette, and I have a sweet wife that wants me to enjoy myself.
Jim, would you say that you have a predilection, an addiction to your freedom and state of not having to work
Absolutely.
and do what you want?
Yeah, but he does work. He's got 29 friggin' books out. They don't manifest themselves.
25 books?
29.
Oh, you told me about that.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yep.
Come on, Jim.
Here's his latest one, the medals.
I have my Blackbird book. My 75 years book.
I've got that here. I'm going to show. I haven't shown him yet.
Oh,
I haven't.
I'll show you this one, and you get up. Yeah, like I say, you show me yours, I'll show you mine.
Yeah, we do that.
Show him. I want to see his.
I'm still waiting for my signed copy. But then again, I've better pay Jim to get it.
It takes a long time to go halfway around the world, especially to the bottom, because when you get to that tipping point, you got to reorient all of your shit. You got to start thinking, well, down is now up. How the fuck am I gonna do this?
Hey, and the water goes down the plug that way, not that way.
Is that true? Really? I've heard of that. And I went to Australia one time, and I meant to check that. I never did.
It's true.
Is it true?
It's true.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. This is his latest book.
Right.
You can't see it.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
Nautilus. I cover 70 years of the nuclear powered Navy. And they have built or under construction 227 nuclear powered submarines, everything from the Nautilus to now they're building the USS Columbia, which will be a replacement for the Ohio boats. And it's not as thick as the one that Robert has. That I would love to see your reaction when he gets off his butt and gets and shows it to you.
I'll look at it tonight before I leave.
Okay, I'm very proud of all my books. I mean, I absolutely hated term papers, anything to do with creating a book or whatever. People say, how many books do you read? I said, I don't read books. It says, I write books. So, and that was, I mean, when I went to the 50th anniversary of my high school back in 2000, I think it was, I'm trying to remember when it was. Maybe it's the 55th birthday, but it was early 2000. And it was 1952 when they built it, so maybe 60 years. I'm pretty wasted. Excuse me. I had my little brag book put together that I had laminated and wire wound. It was real handy, and I ran into a few of my teachers, and I also ran into the dean of boys. Not dean of boys. He was director of athletic activities, but he ended up being the superintendent later on. His name was Mr. Angus. And I go up to him and said, Mr. Angus, do you know who I am? And he looked at me and he said, Goodall? I hadn't seen him in 50 years. And he said, what are you? I said, well, I sell industrial control systems for gold. And got to the University of Washington, University of Minnesota. I got straight A's. And he says, said, all of you kids that were the troublemakers were the ones that couldn't sit still, the ones that would get a lead pencil, go up to the door lock on break with your book and hit it so you can't get into the classroom.
I did it a few times.
Yeah. The janitors got really good at cleaning those things out with dental picks and whatever. But it was, the last thing in the world that I ever thought I would be a writer, or to be an author. My first book was on the F-117, the stealth fighter. I wrote the very first piece on it, and it sold 67,000 copies.
Wow.
Yeah, I co-authored with Bill Sweetman. He was a known, I was an unknown. And now, even out in the middle of nowhere, I was with John Lear at the fence line at Tonopah Test Range, and we had a confrontation. They wanted us out of there, but we weren't going to leave. But they wanted our IDs. And this is 11:30 at night, and we have night vision on and whatever. Hands the IDs to a guard on the restricted side. He goes over to the supervisor, and when he turned the interior light on, I heard him say, "Oh shit, it's Goodall and Lear." And all of a sudden the red dots went away and the floodlights went down. So I'm fairly well known in spooky places, and that's what I've done most of my life. And I really, really enjoyed my freedom. Most of the jobs I have, I work for European companies, and I was their rep for either the U.S. or the Americas or the central part of the country, never the East Coast full time, but I spent a lot of time on the West Coast.
So, Jim, if I get what you're saying there's a lot of freedom in being a spook.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and I loved it. And I've had well, the U2 pilot at Greer's function this last June. And I went to introduce him. I said, first name was Dennis. And he said, he's Dennis, I'm Jim Goodall. And he says, oh, I know who you are. And he'd been retired for a long time. So
how do you feel when you know that your reputation kind of precedes you and you go someplace where maybe you haven't been and somebody you haven't met greets you and they go, oh, you're him.
Yeah. Or they're trying to kiss your ass, one of the two.
Yeah. I mean, I am flabbergasted even today that I'm as well known as I am.
Well, we're trying to get the rumor out there about you. I mean,
yeah. So, but I really enjoy this. This gives me a warm feeling. I'm with friends. I can talk about anything. I can say anything to them, and they're not going, well, I'm offended. Well, fuck you. And there's nothing in the Constitution says that you can't be offended. Life, liberty, and the pursuit, not the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah. Well, all the trash talking bullshit happens after the show, Jim. So
but you don't have to pretend. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to play the bullshit. You can just be yourself. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You want the bullshit? There's a lot of people out there that will give you all the bullshit you want.
I won't play with that. I won't go through the story, but I came to terms with dying in 1986. I was 40 years old. 41 years old, and that was going to be it. And it didn't hit me for 36 hours. And when it hit me, I was at my favorite watering hole dancing. I love to do that. Rock and roll, funk, disco, swing, whatever.
But you prefer country music?
I enjoy listening to it, but I love.
He's a funk dude.
I love funk. I love funk.
He's got funk.
I love fried chicken.
Funky music.
I love fried chicken, watermelon, and funk. I mean, it's just. I was dancing at a place in St. Louis called the Jukebox Cafe, and I was in a suit and a Hickey Freeman suit on, and that's when I was salesman. And I danced 4 or 5 dances and came down and sat down. And with my best friend, John Andrews. He was at Testers. He gave the world Bob Lazar's sports model. And I'm sitting there, and this absolutely drop-dead gorgeous black woman she walks up to me. She's in something like a St. John's knit, probably $250,000 worth of sparklies on it. He said, my husband said it was okay if I asked you to dance. So we went on the dance floor, and she's a good dancer, and we just it just clicked, and we did some swing dancing, some funk, and there was a slow song, and we're dancing, and she stopped right in the middle of it, and she goes, rubbed my cheek, and said, "You are white, aren't you?" That's one of the nicest compliments I've ever had. So, and from a gorgeous woman, and she was beautiful. She could have been on the front of Cosmo. So, hey, where were we going? We're talking. That has nothing to do with UFOs. I guess we fucked up.
No. Hey, sometimes it's good to have a break from UFOs. I mean, UFOs. It's still going to be there tomorrow. You know what I mean?
It's 3 hours, 35 minutes, and 50 seconds.
And we're still going. We're still enjoying it. You know? I reckon we'll beat our record today. What's the longest we've done? 4 hours, isn't it? Something like that. Was that the longest we've ever done? Or was it about 3.5? Or 3 hours and 40 minutes?
It was somewhere around 4, I think. Yeah.
Oh, dear. Yeah. We'll drive all our viewers crazy with our babbling,
Well, what's really interesting is it's not really for the viewers; it's for us.
Yeah,
and we just happen to invite random people to come and listen to our bullshit. It's like we're sitting in a bar, and it got a nice table. We're having a little conversation about whatever the hell it is we want to talk about.
Exactly right about. Yep.
And we just invited the bar to listen in.
Yeah. It's like exactly right. Yeah. Well, I feel like that. What is it with people? I actually put, look, I put in links in the chat. Nobody wants to come in and say hello to us. Why? Are we such low life or what?
No. I think it's simply availability. Hell, I wasn't available. I had other shit to do, until I was able to come.
They don't have to show their ugly face.
It seems like there's a bunch of stuff afoot.
Yeah,
there's a bunch of activity, and people are trying to sort out and deal with the activity because it's getting a little strange, isn't it?
Oh, you mean the world?
Yeah, just the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I don't recognize it.
Are you talking about getting some strange, or it's getting strange?
Both. That's a both and, sir.
No, I have with all the activity that is being seen all over the planet, the amount of UFO activity. I don't know if the abductions have increased, but there's some cattle mutilations again. When I was at Kitt Peak National Observatories, and you guys have heard this, but I was at Dawson. They had 22 optical telescopes up there. Everything from a 4-meter, 13-foot diameter, 30,000-pound primary mirror on the Mayall, down to a 12-inch primary mirror. And our 2.1 mirror was had adaptive optics on it, and Caltech used it for searching for exoplanets for 5 years. And over the course of that 5 years, they cataloged 8,000 exoplanets in a postage stamp size of our Milky Way. And just before I quit, my knees were shot. I needed knee replacement, and we had a beer and pizza night, and we had the head of the National Science Foundation astronomy division, and he said he just came back from a worldwide conference on exoplanets using proven mathematical formulas. We calculate for every star in the universe is 1.5 planets. And out of that phenomenal number, he said there are 2 billion, that's billion with a B, 2 billion Earth-like planets orbiting a similar sized brown dwarf star as our sun in the inhabitable zone with liquid water. And to quote Jodie Foster's character in movie Contact,
and that's being conservative, isn't it? I mean, that's a conservative number, you know?
Yeah, if we're the only ones, what a waste of space. And then some famous person here recently said it, and my mind isn't where I will recall it, let alone speak it.
They're apparently not that famous, right?
Yeah. They said, what is more terrifying to you, that we're alone or we're not alone?
That's that Chinese Asian professor. What's his name?
Oh yeah, you see him a lot on.
Who are you talking about?
The Asian scientist, the one with the
Michio Kaku.
That's him.
Yeah,
that's the bloke.
Yeah, I think that's his quote. So,
he quoted that, which is worse.
Yeah, and that's really true. I mean, it sort of hits you. I mean, can we be the only being like we are in this incredibly vast universe? Oh, that just doubled in size thanks to the James Webb Space Telescope.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, how would it really impact society if the governments of the world just acknowledge the fact we are not alone? You don't have to show us pictures of aliens. Hey, just to say we have got the facts. We do have the facts, and we can guarantee we are not alone. Hey, So
Why-
just put that, let people feed off that for a while. Let them think about it and chew on it, and let them get used to the idea. You know what I mean? Before you throw
Why-
another turd on the table, as to say.
When Steven Spielberg was trying to get funding for E.T., he got laughed out of everybody. And this was to make an alien really friendly and cute, bizarre looking, but sort of an offshoot of this is pre-Yoda time. And they couldn't find any money. And all of a sudden, that special branch of the CIA that promotes ideas and concepts that they like, all of a sudden they found $100 million. And next thing you knew, someone's falling asleep. Next thing you know, the movie's out, and it's a hit, and everybody thinks, "Oh, how adorable that E.T. is." And I think they want to desensitize us to some of these. I guess some of these creatures can be horrifically looking. According to the reaction of the congressional delegation that actually had a classified briefing on it, and apparently there's legislation that will remove any penalties at all for active duty or retired officers or enlisted, but primarily officers, pilots who have seen UFOs.
I believe there's a bill. That bill has not necessarily been passed as yet, has it?
No, but there's that's in the bill that would protect the whistleblowers.
Yeah.
Period.
This week I was actually reading the fact that there are certain issues that they're still having problems of getting people to come forward because there's something about the bill has not been totally been passed.
Yeah, no, it hasn't been passed. I don't know where they have it buried, but well, I tell you what, I only rent the water, so I have to give it back. I'll be right back.
Well,
Hey,
I don't know about you guys, but I mean, yeah, we're getting close to what?
You're looking tired.
3 hours and 45 minutes, so we're closing in on 4.
Yeah, we'll be.
Yeah.
We'll be.
I don't know about you, but
I'm going to call it a night. Here in a second. I'm going to.
Yeah, but wait until Jim comes back. And we'll
eating and drinking for the last few
Hey,
hours, so I think we're done.
Introduce him to my Facebook page, will you? Hey, come to my Facebook page. I'm
Sure.
100. I'm 100% at the moment, but once I see your name up, I'll make room for you. Okay?
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah.
I much appreciate it. I mean,
Yeah, Louis a great guy, and he's an initiate. He's going through the great awakening to the great reveal and the great what the fuck. So we were talking about that earlier.
I've already picked up on that vibe. Yeah, I really have.
Yeah,
I am choosy, believe it or not. You wouldn't think so with these creeps I'm bloody hanging around with, but.
Speak for yourself.
I know.
As you were.
I know. My wife looks at me and she says, "Did I really stuff up somewhere?"
Yeah, how did I fuck this up?
Yeah, exactly right.
What decision did I make to end up with you?
Yeah. I said my dynamic personality, you know. Yeah, she puts up with a lot of me. I tell you, yeah. Actually, I don't live an active life like I should at my age. I mean, I think Jim puts me to shame because at most of the time I might have just take my wife out for the day. The rest of the time I'm sitting on my backside all the time or sleeping. I suffer bad with a bad back, arthritis. Not that I'm crying about it, and a bad neck. Last week, all the way down here, right round to my gland there, and around my back. I've got what they call it's like a sciatic. It's pinching on a nerve. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you need a jungle gym.
Yeah.
Right.
You needed something you can swing on at home and just hang on and just swing around because it'll loosen that shit up. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Especially a rope around my neck.
Yeah, that too.
Well, they have those boards where they flip you upside down.
Yeah.
You know,
I have I do inversion.
Yeah, inversion.
I've got one in the garage.
You got one?
Hey, you know what the crazy thing is? I bought myself a real expensive rowing machine, hydraulics, you know, to get rid of me gut a bit, you know. I went down to sit on it. I fell over. I can't get down low enough to sit on the bloody thing. And then trying to get back up. I mean, my God. Hey, mate, I used to look, when I was a young fella, mate, I mean, right up to mid-50s, I had a six-pack. I could run a mile, you know, hey, without getting puffed up. Now, I get down and, what did I drop on the floor? Get down to have a look under the bed or something. Then I got to lift my. It's a struggle getting up now, you know. So, and my daughter, and she says, "Here, Dad," she got me a walking stick. But that didn't stop there. She went out and bought another walking stick with 4 legs at the bottom.
I've seen those.
Well, you know what? Those are pretty stable. Don't ask me how I know.
More legs.
Hey, I get a funny feeling they're trying to tell me something. As long as the next trip's not the nursing home. That's
I think they're trying to tell you that they're not always going to be there, so you better have yourself a stick. Hold yourself up, Dad.
Yeah.
All right, gents. Well, we're going to. Louie's still going to drive home.
I got to drive home.
And
hey, this is really funny. You saying this,
right?
Why?
Knew me.
Right.
Oh,
saying,
Good point.
He's the one that keeps the bloody show going.
Yeah,
you can't shut up, Mama.
He never stops.
I get blamed for that, but all y'all is just as much to blame.
Makes me wonder how you watch the football.
I've seen B go on ad nauseum. I've seen Jim spin off into space somewhere. And the next thing I know, I'm sitting there going, which conversation am I in? Which way do I go with this?
Yeah.
Hey, y'all deserve each other.
Tell me, was it difficult watching football with Robert next to you? I mean,
no, not at all, man. Not at all.
He's
very analytical, and he picks everything apart. But
of course he does.
Yeah,
he was doing the same shit.
I was doing the same thing.
I'm making calls, and he's going, "Yeah, I agree with that one." No, do you think? I mean,
yeah. What do you think about that penalty? Do you think
we were doing color commentary real time?
Yeah. You're getting cold, Jim, are you, mate? You're getting cold, buddy. You look like you're ready for sleep too, mate.
I am, man. I'm ready to go, man.
Okay,
I'm ready to go.
I really love meeting you, mate. It's great to meet you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Don't be a stranger. Get in touch. Anyway.
Yeah.
We're just three gray and white haired and no haired guys. Yeah, who enjoy each other's company, and guests are always welcome.
I got to ask you guys something though.
Yeah.
Can you guys really keep up with this guy? Especially when he gets onto the frequencies and resonances and all the
that's
I mean,
why we
can you guys really keep up with him?
We connect so
you do?
Yeah, we understand where he's coming from. You know?
Okay, good.
Yeah. But
I admire y'all.
We hear the same shit all over again, all over and over and over and over again. I mean,
and eventually it sinks in, right?
Informatics. We know all about informatics. I mean,
see, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Do we know about informatics? That's his baby. That's his baby.
It is.
He's allowed to nurture it and do all these.
Yeah. And do whatever he wants to do.
Change the dirty diapers,
Yeah. But it's always good to have Robert around, though. It's always good to have him around.
Yeah.
Well, it's good. It's good to be around, and it's good to be had.
In more ways than one. Yes.
Make sure you got the Vaseline.
I wanted you to show how I suffer through summers in Tucson. This is my backyard.
That's his place.
That is beautiful. Yeah. That is amazing.
Have you ever tried to put some koi fish in that?
No.
Oh yeah, put some koi in it. They'll go like that, mate. And then you can actually fish.
Just swimming pool.
Yeah.
And Here's another view.
Oh, I love Tucson.
Oh, I do too.
Wow. Are you in Tucson right now?
I'm about 18 miles north.
Oro Valley.
I'm in Oro Valley.
Well, you don't have snow. It's not cold, right?
We're freezing our ass off.
Yeah.
What temperature?
At 40 degrees.
Yeah, 60 degrees.
40 degrees.
Yeah. And here's just another. And this
Hey,
was,
Robert, hey, can you guys just
that was last
just
year.
leave it for about another 9 minutes, mate. Another 9 minutes, we make it 4 hours, and then we can clear it. Okay, let's round it up. Come on, we've got actually next another 8 minutes.
Break the record. Huh?
8 minutes to go. 8 minutes to go. You can do it, guys. You can do it. It's the power of positive thinking. Let's drive it. You know.
Yeah.
I wonder what our viewers actually do. I mean, do they can always come back. Our shows are very long, you know. And I remember one time, the first time I said, "Hey guys, we've been at the hour and 15 minutes." They all looked at me, kind of saying, "What?"
Well, when we were on
the first
Heidi's
time,
inaugural show, and so we had to only 90 minutes, and we hit 2 hours something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, she couldn't complain because she had a great time. So did I, and I think everybody did. We have someone who's awake. Welcome to our world. We're gonna sign off soon. We got 8.
The thing about this group is that it's the place you can go when you've got nothing else to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's the desperation network.
It's like, well, there's nothing else going on. We can go chat with these fucks.
Yeah.
See what they're yapping about.
But it's fun.
Yes. And I've always put a link in there. You can always want to join the chat. You can just come in and say hello. I mean, join in. If you don't mind us taking the piss out of you, and you can give it back just as much as we can give. I mean,
it's a fucking awesome. It's that Aussie attitude that keeps them coming back.
He's in Australia.
Yeah, he's out of Perth.
Okay.
Yeah, Western Australia.
You know what?
Yeah. I'm in the lucky country, what we call the lucky country.
What time is it there right now?
The time now is 2:55 p.m.
PM. Is that
tomorrow?
Tomorrow or yesterday?
Tomorrow.
I'm in your future.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry, I do not have the lotto numbers for you. I mean, it goes against the rules. It goes against the rules. It goes against the rules. No, but as I said, you guys are freezing your asses off. Well, I'm sweating hard, mate. I can't wait to get out of this office. And I tell you, and go out into the aircon. And I haven't got aircon in this room. I've got a fan there. If I turned it on, it sounds like a hurricane hitting the microphone. So even though I've got a foam thing over the mic. So yes. Anyway, listen, I think I'll let it go. Look, I think I'll let you go to sleep. We don't have to wait an extra few minutes, you know. But what I'm going to say is that thank you everybody for joining us tonight and putting up with us. And it's a pleasure. Don't forget to like and subscribe, especially to Robert on the Nexus Netcast. And give him a thumbs up and a like as well, because I'm sure he's streaming as well. My show, his show, our show. And yet, remember, be nice, be kind, and aspire to inspire one another, because this is what it's all about. And as our good friend Doc Skinner would say, let's lift each other up so we can all rise together. So you keep a smile on your face. Okay, thank you everybody for joining us.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, and I look forward to these nights, these evenings. It's just I enjoy it. So, and
agreed. Until next time, gentlemen.
Absolutely. Adios. Aloha. Au revoir. Talk to you later.
Bye bye now.